Good evening, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to you live from the County of Kings, from Connecticut, or wherever you are, wherever we are. We welcome you to Apostate Radio number 2, episode number 2. I am here as always with my dude, Mr. Nostra Chavez. What's going on, man?
Hey, we're back at it. The boys are back at it.
We are back at it. Yes. And tonight, for you, for your listening and discussion pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you all to someone who has been a great friend of mine over the last several years. Someone who really helped broaden my understanding of the world around me, especially over the last 3-4 years. This man has coined several phrases, though he probably wouldn't take any credit for it. The Truman Show and helping us to understand the same thing. I want to introduce you, ladies and gentlemen, to the incomparable Theo Jordan.
I appreciate you, good sir. That's a hell of an introduction to live up to. I don't think I'll be able to, but on a truly sincere note, first of all, it's nice to meet you, Mr. Chavez. I think it's the first time you and I have formally interacted, and I'm honored you guys would share your stage with me. As I mentioned to you on X the other day, Isaiah, you've been as big of an inspiration and kind of an eye-opener to me as you say I have been to you. I think you and I very much define this sense of digital family, this organic grassroots pushback that's happening. And, you know, you and I clicked years ago. And like I said, I've got your number on my phone. I was able to call you when we had tech difficulties there. Very reflective of how now Twitter is real life. You know what I'm saying? Like something tangible is happening in America. So thanks for having me, fellas.
Of course. And,
yeah, Theo, man, I've been following you for a while too. I was under the alias Base Latinos for a while too. I don't know if you remember.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I didn't know that.
We've interacted a bunch of times over the years, like it's like, you know, reposts and stuff like that and comments. But yeah, it's great to finally meet you, hearing your voice, which is you know, sultry. You get a sultry, warm
It would have
voice.
been nice if Isaiah let me know you were Base Latinos from the last few years.
Oh,
I
shit.
didn't know, but it's all good.
Sorry.
No, that was also Chavez in the past too. I don't know. Who knows? I always switch it around, but now I think I'm going to be a little more consistent. But yeah, this is the first time we actually talked on a podcast or directly through the old-fashioned vocal cords. So,
There we go. Appreciate it, fellas.
Definitely honored to have you on, brother.
10-4. Right back at you, man. Thank you.
Boy, oh boy, we've got a lot to talk about tonight, boys.
Yeah.
And it's almost like tonight. Yeah, we got a lot of shit to talk about.
My wife asked me what we were talking about, and I said, I think we're talking shit about gender ideology as she walked out of the bathroom, and then I laughed.
Amongst other things.
Amongst other things. Amongst other things. Because listen, we've got stuff that we've got to cover, not just gender stuff, gender madness, but also we've got the mass exodus and the mass exodus of the DMV to cover.
Oh yeah.
The deep state. Oh yeah. The deep state is absolutely on the run right now.
While the getting's good.
And while they're getting out, while the getting's good, while we don't have an FBI director, okay, they are scat, like the rats are leaving the ship, and you're gonna see just how bad it is a little bit later on in the show. We also got Evan Barker coming back tonight.
Returning champ.
Yes, returning champion. Yes, returning back.
Friend of the pod.
Yes.
I don't think I know Evan. I clicked her page today when I saw we were all chatting, and I feel like I absolutely should know Evan. I'm a little disappointed in myself, but just FYI, I don't know if Evan and I know each other.
Well, that's all good. It's all good. Listen,
we are
all family here. We are all family.
Great bridges, my friend. Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
You might have heard. I think they had some of the free press and maybe some other things where she was got pretty famous for basically saying how she's going to leave. She wanted to leave the Democrats after being a fundraiser for many years. After, I think it was right. She made a decision in the middle of the last DNC with Kamala convention and she just like left early. She's like, I can't take this anymore. These people don't represent the working class like they used to. They represent the elites, the wealthy, super wealthy, and she kind of made her sick. If I'm paraphrasing her feelings, but you might have seen her on the Free Press and some other publications. And
yeah, absolutely. Her work looks
podcasts.
very impressive. Cool.
Yeah,
to
you
get
might.
together.
She's
another
incredible.
apostate.
Yes, we got to listen. Being an apostate, being an apostate in today's environment is so important, and it's just crazy because being an apostate these days is just simply being normal, being a guy.
It is.
just
Normalcy is the new rebellion.
Yeah.
Normalcy is the new rebellion. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, can you throw a picture up on my screen? I tried to make it my eyeball, and it says it is my eyeball, but is it a black camera on your side?
It is a black camera on my side.
It really doesn't matter. I'm not that
Can
vain,
you,
I
Theo,
thought I could have
you might have to do it
eyeball
on
up
your
there.
side. You might be able to do it.
Yeah, I
on your side.
did actually. I'm thinking maybe it's because I'm in. Can I leave and come back, or is it just not worth it?
Yeah, I mean, I could try. That should be fine, right? I think.
All right, I'm gonna try to do that.
Just you can do right click on those three dots on the right hand corner, and this is edit audio avatar.
Yeah, I uploaded it, and it's got it actually selected now. And when I hit done, it should be in. But I'm thinking maybe it's like loaded me in for the session.
You try it again, and it should be fine.
Yeah, you can try it. Do you need me to drop you real quick? Or
yeah, do that. Yeah, boot me, and then I'll log back in. That'd be perfect.
Okay,
we'll let you back in. Then we promise.
Yeah, we'll let him back in. We've apologies, ladies.
Make sure you put your wristband on.
We've had we've had a lot. We've had a bit of technical difficulties tonight, but I do want to thank you once again for being here. Once Theo gets back, we're gonna really get this party started. But where to begin? Where to begin tonight? Actually, I know where I want to begin. I want to begin by sharing something that our esteemed friend, that my esteemed co-host, Mr. Nostra Chavez, wrote
a
couple of days ago. Yeah. You wrote this on Friday, February 14th. And
Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Sharing the love.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Sharing the love. Yes. Hold on a second. Let me bring this up. There we go. All right. So this man wrote one of the most badass pieces regarding how our current political party system is set up. And he said, indeed, one party seems to have become the anti-virtue party. They seem to be the party of discarding almost every tenet of universal human wisdom and morality, and instead have been injecting our society with anti-wisdom, anti-virtue, and anything that can drive multiple wedges between this diverse American nation. The Democrats have been promoting promiscuity, not having children, not getting married, killing babies as a form of birth control, and being overall just selfish and hedonistic. The Democrats push laws that favor the criminals over the victim, and policies and entitlements that favor the illegal immigrant over the tax-paying American citizen, seemingly to increase their voting numbers. They promote constant pride, narcissism, and self-worship. They condemn national heroes like the Founding Fathers and modern heroes like Kyle Rittenhouse and Daniel Penny, and lionize repeat criminals like George Floyd and Jordan Neely. They also lionize mass murderers like Marxists, Che Guevara, and Mao. They lie about almost everything. They destroyed any trace of journalism in the legacy media, and they coerce social media companies to censor free speech and the truth. And they've been indoctrinating children at a grand scale to hate America, be racist, be sexist, and anti-Christian, and to believe they should get castrated, mutilated, and or sterilized as a sacrifice to the gender cult. And any uniparty rhino Republican who sneakily let them get away with it out of greed or lust for power is just as guilty. The MAGA movement represents a third way. It is the coalition of virtue, truth, reform, action, and common sense that has taken over the Republican Party with the true patriots from across political ideologies, including former Democrats and current libertarians, who are willing to fight for what is good and worth saving in our great nation. All of it. We've become so disillusioned over the at least last 30 years, thinking there is nothing that can be done about rampant government corruption and the corruption of the conglomerates and billionaires that own our self-serving representatives and the corruption of the legacy media that serves them. Now, we actually have hope that the Trump administration will finally raise most of these corrupt, rotten zombie institutions and policies that finally serve the people. It's the first time in most of our lifetimes that this has happened. We should embrace these efforts and give them a chance, because the other way was not working. Let's save our beautiful nation, the greatest on earth, and put policies and transparent institutions in place to prevent this rot and corruption from ever happening again. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the words of my dog here.
Yay.
My dog wrote this. My man's in them wrote this. Okay. Oh, and I think we've got Theo's back.
Theo's back. You figured it out.
Damn, I was about to call your cell phone. I was like beating at the gates here while you were reading that speech. Like, let this motherfucker. Yeah. Dude, by the way, I love it. I uploaded the image. For some reason, it went backwards, and I think that's fabulous. So we're sticking backwards. I've got a vibe now.
There it is. I like that. I like that.
There we go.
I missed the first part of that speech. I'll go back and read it while I'm chatting here. You wrote that, Mr. Chavez?
Yeah, man. I was channeling my inner Isaiah L. Carter over here, man. I was like, I can't let Isaiah be writing all these badass fucking dagger to the heart speeches on these freaking devils.
Yeah. By the end of that,
I gotta write something too, man.
I know it's not American, but by the end of that, I saw just the blue face paint. You're riding back and forth. Hold! It was fantastic.
Like
Theo, tell us who are you? What do you like what caused you to what awakened you?
Go nuts on X?
Yeah, exactly. Because if there's somebody, folks, if you follow Mr. Jordan here on X, this guy has an incredible thread game. I can't even say like how many thread of the year candidates did I give you over the last 2-3 years?
You are a great hot posse member, man. You pump me up, Isaiah. You always have. Dude, I was lighting some University of Michigan professor up from about 5:12 a.m. until almost 7:30 this morning. I almost felt bad for him at one point. Like, if
what?
It was an ex-UFC match, the ref come in and be like, no mas. It's not even 7, bro. Let him up. So
he's got a family, damn it.
Yeah, by the way, University of Michigan is an absolute ideological cesspool. The guy Aiden Wright with a silent W. Of course, he's got a silent letter in his name. At the psych department up there is a train wreck. And just to blow the alarm, Ann Arbor is rotten. And anyone who loves that school needs to wake the hell up and do something about it. But anyways, let me answer your question.
One more school taken over by horseshit. One more school.
Oh, it's bad, dude. And if you go look at the list of their D-Equity I ideological commissars, they employ like over 100 to the tune of almost 13 million a year with benefits. And like, what do those people do, bro? It's the fucking Rainbow Guard, right?
Ruin the country. That's what they do.
That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And so is this
it's
Justin Wolfen, right? Justin Wolfen guy or ever this morning who, let me tell the story real quick. And then I'll answer your, who am I question, if you don't mind, Isaiah.
Absolutely. Go right ahead, bro.
So, one of the things that fuels my writings, which is really just a pushback. I've been an engine of pushback since 2020, and I'll get to that in a second, is I've always been an information consumer. I love current events. I love news. I love cultural shit. I wasn't around on social media until the story I'll tell here in a second in 2020, but I've always gobbled up information. So before I even get out of bed in the morning, I'm likely reading the news and probably have already hit my vape. I'm a weird guy. But in the last 5 years or so, the disconnect between the news and reality is just absolutely staggering, as I'm sure everyone listening to this knows. So it's like literally, man, I'll scan CNN. I read Fox News too. They're not necessarily any better. They just say what we like to hear more often, right? So I like read these different stories and I'll come across something that's catches my eye. And in this case, I was on X, not reading the news. I noticed this guy who was doing this tactic that I've seen over and over and over in the last 2 weeks since the USAID story broke. And let's not call it a story. Let's say that the hood got popped open and we've now been able to stand it, right? And since we've started to see that, I've noticed this technique. It's the same technique used by fact checkers, by the way. It's like, you know, I know I get long-winded, but hopping over to a different topic to show the logic. It's like the Smith-Munn Act or whatever. And, you know, all our fact checker industry will run these stories that say, fact check, did Obama change a law so that America could be propagandized? Not true, right? Big needle in the red. And then you go down and you read it, and it's like they reframe the question, and then they fact check that sentence as not true, but it's not reflective of the greater story. And in their own fact check, you'll read at the bottom, Obama did change a law that did not allow for certain propaganda to be used domestically. And it's like, that is the fucking story, right? So back to this Michigan guy. He's blowing this horn that I've seen over and over and over. And it is, let's take one piece of the USAID reveal, or more importantly, let's take one piece of the way it's being presented in the river or the sewage of social media. Let's find a factual inconsistency or something that's technically not true. And then let's blow the horn really, really loud about that to try to make everybody look like disinformation idiots. We saw this with the 50 million condoms in Gaza, right? Everybody went ape shit about that. Like, oh my God, look at this disinformation. Dude, it turns out it was like 46 million for sex programs. So it was the same story, but they were able to
really?
Yeah, man. Something broke on that like a week ago. So
holy shit. So it wasn't condoms.
It was not condoms, but it was like related to sex and gender bullshit. And it was going into the strip, and it was 46 million instead of 50. So going back to that tactic, what's the bigger story? $4 million difference in slightly different labeling? Or like, where the hell have you been in uncovering this for us before the reveal, right?
Jesus Christ.
So this asshole was doing this thing where he had called out this like statistical thing Elon had posted, and then he was doing this real pompous, you know, oh, this is so statistics 101. We teach this in high school, sort of like telling his audience, ignore all these disinformation assholes. And dude, he had like 3,000 retweets. So I go look at the guy. He wears giant Queer Plus rainbow glasses. He has long blonde hair. Looks like he stares in the mirror for hours when he gets ready. He wears terrible suits. He's got rainbow ties. He works at University of Michigan. Ugh. I'm like, okay, I know where this is all going, right? So I realize he's an economics professor. And so the whole thread was themed around the idea of like, okay, University of Michigan, insane. But I shouldn't paint him with the insanity of psych shit because he's an econ guy. And by the end of it, I mean, it was just like ground and pound. I almost felt bad for this dude because if you go turn over the rocks, you realize he's nothing but a Queer Plus revolutionary. I don't know how I got off on that topic, Isaiah. I apologize. It's
hey, Theo, I just shared on the top of my Twitter, the tweet saying that we're live with the video. If you want to add any links, like the link to that thread, I wouldn't mind reading it.
Roger, absolutely. Yeah, I'll throw that up here.
I'd like to see some ground and pound.
Yeah, man, it was good. And honestly, I don't feel bad about that stuff. In fact, I tweeted out this morning, I'm like, the way that we're going to end Hatecraft is by being really mean. And I said, and if that doesn't make sense to you, or you're uncomfortable with that, you don't think we have enough empathy, enough compassion, then with all due respect, you need to get the hell out of the way. And It's the reality, man, is like we were dosed with it or doused with this Hatecraft for so many years. And we're like, the only way to push back is like, yes, we're going to stand up in your face and be mean, you know, like the Michael Knowles situation, not to jump topics, but
yeah, we are going to talk about that. And in fact, what I want to do is want to come back just a little bit in telling us who you are. Okay. And some of the stuff and the stuff that you do, I really would love like tell us about Hatecraft and about there are three there. You're known, at least to me, you're known for three terms: the same thing, the Truman Show, and then lastly, your most recent one is Hatecraft.
I love
Okay.
it. I love it. Isaiah,
So
you are fantastic, man. I appreciate that you understand the code that well, man. That's fantastic.
Isaiah celebrates your entire catalog.
That's awesome. I love you as well, my man.
Listen,
you know that.
Listen. I am, when it comes to people who have been at the forefront of this fight, those of us who saw the craziness of the last 4 or 5 years, I want to make sure that you get your props, that everybody gets their props.
I appreciate
a lot
it,
of us, because a lot of us, there are a lot of people out there right now who granted, I've never been one for, like, I've never been a credit, like a credit hog or anything like that, right? But those of us who have been in the shit longer have a different we've taken a few lumps.
Yeah,
it's a lot of arrows, man. No question.
Yeah. So if you can explain, so please explain to the audience, like, about what those 3 terms.
I'd love to, man, because I think that's kind of central to the messaging I've been pushing. And just so your audience knows, Isaiah and I are not new to each other. In fact, we spent 4 hours up one night recording a recorded conversation, and we've spoken on the phone other times. So he's true digital family, homie of mine. But so looking at those 3 terms, I started writing balls to the wall on here in November 2020 after never having a social media account my entire life because of what I just said. I saw the gap between reality and every single information channel we have, which really was the case all the way until Elon took OneNote out. If you really think about it, was so shocking. And I just decided, I've been reading like James Lindsay's page. I'd been reading your page, Isaiah. I knew you long before you knew me. And I just decided I was going to enter the fray at this point. And I started, COVID was really my magnet early on, because that's an objective theater, right? We can argue till you're blue in the face whether America is systemically racist, but we don't have to argue forever on whether we have a natural immunity and whether, like, the data coming out of Israel was contradicting the story we were being told in America, right? So I got really aggressive with that, of like trying to point out the differences between those. And the reason I kind of led that way is the first week of January in 2021. So this is the week of January 6th. I wrote a thread that I refer to as my original Truman Show thread. And it started with something along the lines of, I hope, and I'll put this up on that link. I know I didn't follow through with what you asked me to do. It started with, like, I hope everybody realizes that we are under a system-wide Truman Show. And it's a coordinated propaganda campaign that has 2 goals, like 2 objectives, 2 thrusts. And I went on kind of showing some of the rhetoric from Biden, from LeBron James, from Pelosi, from Joy Reid, from all of our news stations, kind of painting this story, if you will, of like, look at what we're under. This is right when Black Lives Matter is nuts. Like, one of my Biden quotes on there is, he's like, mind you, this is in the middle of a fucking pandemic. We will prioritize Black and brown and women and gay and trans and demisexual, like basically everybody but white straight men, right? In the middle of a freaking pandemic. It was just also wicked. So James Lindsay actually retweeted that thread. And dude, I probably had like 400 followers at the time. And that thread really caught fire. And in all honesty, I kind of look back and that retweeting of that thread, and then sort of some people I met around that discussion, it was a huge spark. So the idea of Truman Show, for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, and I'll keep this short, is they birth a guy in a place that is a reality show. It's a constructed world where the baby has no idea. It looks like a real world, but the whole thing is cameras and bullshit, and all the real people back in the real world are watching him like a reality show. His name is Truman, and he grows up, he spends his whole life there. And it's very analogous to what we're under now, where, like, dude, they can radicalize our populace over gas stoves. Like on Monday, like, gas stoves are so bad. Tuesday, the science hits. Wednesday, it's all over NYT and CNN. And then by like Friday, all the Hatecraft is out. You got all the progress people on Twitter like, only the racists want to cook with gas. I mean, it's just incredible. So the Truman Show is this notion that because of the like 24-hour IV in the arm nature of mass media that we're in now, people exist from sun up to sundown, from like literally wake up. Like I just said, I'm reading my phone first thing, and then we're doing it at the end, your car, office, everywhere. And sort of like, what vein of information are you in? And as we're all realizing now, like systematically in America, there was the vein, the progress vein. So shifting over just to explain all 3 terms, the same thing was a term I created using capital letters. And in all honesty, I put painstaking effort into repeating that to try to make a point to those reading my stuff that every damn thing we were talking about, these different tentacles, We're all part of the same beast, whether it's decolonizing masculinity with transactivism, or decolonizing men with smash the patriarchy, or decolonizing white people with anti-racism, or the climate Quixote bullshit, or the illegal invasion, or the censorship, possibly even COVID. These things are all feeding the same agenda. They're all part of the same ideological stew.
Ain't no possibly now.
I know,
when it
man.
comes to COVID.
And when you start to see that, it really does help the puzzle. The greater puzzle start to make sense, because the hardest part of this mass mania we're under is like, what the fuck is going on? Like, so much is crazy. But when you see like equity kids in Colombia shattering windows in the name of queers for Palestine, instead of seeing it as really crazy, you should be able to see like two tentacles connecting into the final boss shit, right? Like, oh, there it is. There's the equity radicalization. So that's what the same thing is. And then lastly, I'm sorry to talk so much. Hatecraft, I think, is the most important coin I've dubbed. And in all honesty, Hatecraft is the tool, the praxis, if you will, of repressive tolerance. And I'm no academic scholar. Most of the academic shit I know, I've learned through people smarter than I who are right here on X that we all interact with. I'm a lawyer, man. I take the pieces of evidence and I construct an argument with it. So I haven't taken the time to dig down into the roots of repressive tolerance. I really don't give a shit. But the engine of repressive tolerance can be summed up real well in those Christian bakers. You know, you will bake a cake with devils and dicks on it, or you will be painted hate. In fact, you'll even be sued. But like, you wouldn't be able to go, but then like the principles of Jesus and Christ are painted as patriarchy and evil. And you see that on every single front. Whatever agenda we want is protected with this aura of hate. Like, we are ending hate. If you speak against it, it's hate. But then when you flip it around, you can speak the nastiest shit at me, and that never triggers this hate. You can call me a Nazi, white supremacist, science denier, conspiracy theorist, fascist, end of democracy. I mean, I can just go on and on and on. Words that would make me fight you in real life. But I can't use groomer online because that's hate, right? You can't call someone a lesbian in the UK because that's hate. But like, their government leaders can call us Nazis. So that's the idea of Hatecraft. Let's make it all about like ridding the world of hate. No one can rid the world of hate, man. What the ever living hell are we talking about? And in all honesty, I kind of like hate. I think hate is a needed grease in the world, right? Sometimes you need to hate people. I mean, it's the reality. There's certain demographics I hate. It's not based on immutables, but it's based on like scumbags who would break into my house. I hate those people. And if I ever see them, I'll treat them very poorly. So we can't like force ourselves into a world where there's only these positive emotions. And if you think about what this queering revolution has done, it's done precisely that. We've been asked to distrust our own survival instincts, man. Yes. Pretty crazy.
And Theo, to your point, who hates more than these marginalized, protected classes that when you have the audacity to disagree with them? That's all you have to do. All you have to do is disagree with them.
There's such weapons grade hatred within the group that calls itself End Hate. Like, goes to those rallies in Purdue and Canada and Australia, all over the place for transactivism. And you see these, like, I hate to use the term, man, but it's almost like rabid zombies, like animals, like raging with hatred. And they hate Christians, white people, men, masculinity, America, capitalism, like everything. It's manufactured hatred in the name of End Hate. That is repressive tolerance, like in application across our country. And honestly, it scares the shit out of me. This is why I do what I do, because this is not a game, man. Like, this darkness descended on our country.
And it's scarier because it's hatred that is considered virtuous by the left and by the people who's also recently controlled so many of our institutions, and now they're losing some of that control, but not completely. They're still in there.
They're fighting it hard.
Hiding. They're changing their titles. They're still in there though, and they're going to try to mount some kind of figure out a way to bunker down and figure out how to get through it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
for the audience, sorry,
Nick.
For the audience's benefit, repressive tolerance, ladies and gentlemen, is a coin termed by Herbert Marcuse. If you don't know who that is, he was a professor over in California. I think he was either UCLA or UC Berkeley. But here's a quote from him, and it reads: "Where the false consciousness has become prevalent in national and popular behavior, it translates itself almost immediately into practice. The safe distance between ideology and reality, repressive thought and repressive action, between the word of destruction and the deed of destruction is dangerously shortened. Folks, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's a
problem. And you got to understand, basically, it boils down to something that I've seen where it's okay if I do it. Because these are the types of people who will literally walk into a place, let's say a business. They'll tell you how to do. They've never met you. They get a few pieces of information from you. They data mine, right? And then once they've gotten all the information that they need to use against you, that's when they begin with the repressive tolerance. The repressive tolerance basically is, I'm going to punish you when you say a thing that I don't like. But yet, just like Theo said earlier, if I could say whatever I want to you, because my way of thinking is better than yours. You are evil. You've been doing things for thus and such amount of time, and so now it is your responsibility to give me power so that I can change society into the way that it should be. That is, basically what we're talking about, folks, is we are talking about some of the mechanisms of communism. And what you need to be aware of, folks, is this is stuff that you're not going to be able to unsee. Okay, you're going to see this in just about everything that you like in our advertisements, in our media, like the news like right now, the stuff that they're able to twist around. We're going to get into a lot of that. We're going to get into Nick. You were going to say one thing. Go ahead, brother.
What was I going to say?
Because I'm going to give examples of this nuttiness in a sec.
Well, let me, if you didn't have something in the chamber, let me just, did you, Nick? I didn't want to jump
What was this? I was about
repressive tolerance, really, is he was kind of fleshing it out, the mechanism, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, it's these people are, like I said, they hate more than anybody. They feel, to go along with what Isaiah said, they're people who feel just because, obviously because of intersectionality and just wokeism, critical race theory, all that whole basis for that is that basically because they are, without a doubt in their minds, marginalized groups. They have a higher moral status than everybody else. So if they're a black woman, and that's 2 points. They're black, they're a woman, they're marginalized. They're a black trans woman, that's another point. They're a black trans woman who's disabled.
Black trans women created the world.
Yeah.
And we're going to, and matter of fact, I'm gonna give you an example of that in a little bit when we get to that. But I want to show y'all.
And you can't argue with them without it being, you just hate them because they're black. You hate them because they're trans. You hate them. It's like, no, it's not has nothing to do with that. The logic you're giving to me right now is, one, it's manipulative. It's wrong. It's manipulative. It's narcissistic. It's horseshit. And you're just trying. It's a power move. It's a power move.
Isaiah, are you about to play the clip? Are you about to play the clip?
I'm about to play. I got a few. Well, no.
Okay. I thought I was going to hold you off before the nose, but go ahead.
No. Shout to Michael Knowles, but I am going to play that clip. I'm going to show you a clip of some court proceedings in Worcester, Massachusetts. Okay, Massachusetts has been getting hit hard with wokeness. Yes, getting hit hard. Like you can't even park your car because they got bikes and they got bike lanes everywhere. Kind of like here in New York, But now this is Worcester. This is Worcester, Mass. They are now a sanctuary city for this.
I need the city to protect me because the federal government won't. And if you think you're afraid of Trump, you should see how afraid of Trump I am.
Can you wrap up, please?
Yes, I can. If you say that you're afraid of Trump and that's why you don't want the city to be a safe space for trans people, you better prepare for trans people to make this a very unsafe space.
I'm shaking right now. I don't want to be here.
Up, please?
I'm sorry, am I taking too long pleading for my life?
You remembered how many children I have and that 2 of them are trans.
I speak as both the B and the T in the LGBT.
Oh God, I don't know if I should laugh or curse or cry. I don't know. Man.
Who was that? So that first lady actually is originally from Candyland, I think. So I don't think she's,
I love the lady who said, "Do you not realize I have 2 trans kids?" Oh, sweetheart, I knew
What are
that
the
before
odds?
you ever opened your mouth.
Yeah. What are the
This
odds,
is-
man? Huh?
th-
She's
th-
so lucky.
that is the madness that has infected our society.
Yes, it is.
And it's taken hold over the last several years. But I'm going to let this play through a little bit because it's
might kill our
5
brains.
minutes long. It's 5. Well, you ain't seen the worst. You ain't seen the worst of it. Hold on.
I'm smoking pot,
I
man.
need the city to
Wait a minute. Let me see if I can.
I need the city to protect me because the federal government won't. And if you think you're afraid of Trump, you should see how afraid of Trump I am.
Can you wrap up, please?
Yes, I can. If you say that you're
I love-
afraid of
I
Trump
love how
and
he
that's
hit her
why you
with the
don't
wrap
want
it up,
the city to be a safe space for trans people, you better prepare for trans people to make this a very unsafe space.
I'm shaking right now. I don't want to be here.
Please?
Oh shit! Sorry.
I need the city to protect.
You know what? I don't know how to work this.
No, you
I'm
don't.
trying to figure out.
Your DJ skills are hurting here.
Terrible.
I was real impressed prior to that. The way you had that thing feed early on, I'm like, damn, this guy.
Isaiah's usually got this on
Yeah, I don't
Queen,
know
so-
why. You know what? I'll be honest. I'm a little under the weather tonight.
That's all right.
So
That's all right. I mean, I'm still impressed. It's been.
That's
slick
right. We
from
can
the
still
post.
talk shit. We
Hey,
don't
let
need to
me just comment on something there because it's important for if we want to do something other than just bagging on these poor lost souls. It's important to look. I mean, there's importance of both sides.
Why not? No.
There's a lot of pieces on a chessboard, and some of them kick ass. You know?
Hold on a second. Nah, these people deserve to get bagged on.
Ridicule. Yes, they deserve
They
ridicule.
deserve it. They deserve it.
Just by the way they
And
look, man. Jesus Christ.
These are people. Look, and you know this, Theo. In June of 2021, from June until September of 2021, my Twitter account was suspended because I refused to call a man a woman.
Yeah.
And this guy, and what was crazy was he was saying something about the person I was referring to was talking about abolish prisons for George Floyd for the sake of Derek Chauvin.
Good God.
It was the craziest rant I'd ever seen.
The same
But
thing.
Meanwhile, this guy had just gotten busted on drug charges somewhere.
Yeah, of course. Hey, let me. Oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
And so I refused. So I said, "White men protecting white men. 'Tis a train that is never late." My account was zapped that night.
I'm surprised they
Because
zapped you for that.
man.
I'm surprised they actually zapped you for that, man.
Well,
It's usually it's free reign on white people. I think.
Yeah, as a white
men
man, I was really hurt by that comment that day.
Yeah.
It took me a while to get over
Well,
that.
listen. What I learned in that moment that it is objectively in this new communist reality. I have learned that it is actually worse to be a phobe, okay, or whatever the phobia du jour is.
Phobia du jour.
Oh, I can't
right?
stand that shit
It's
either.
worse to be phobic than to be racist. So if I, as a black
definitely.
man,
Really?
refuse to call a white trans identifying male a woman, I am more wrong than this white guy if he called me the N-word.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that because that goes back to and I can't help but
learned that
picture
real
my
quick.
my favorite GIF on X of I think it's actually GIF, by the way, which I'll never say, of the witches on the beach by the fire who are looking up in the sky.
Peanut butter.
You know, that's my Frankenfem thing. And if you go back to the intersectional hierarchy, the wand they all hold in their hand, that yes, absolutely. If you look at those weird wizard charts, the trans black is like the epitome of the thing. So you are correct, Isaiah. To defy the gender principles is a greater offense now than to be overtly racist, because that's how insane the progress movement has become when it all rests on dogmatic principles that I reject. It's crazy. Well, one thing before we move on from that video, I just want to make sure everybody saw, because I said it when it was playing. They had a sign up that said silence equals death. So we've now moved on from silence is violence, which is one of the scariest communist lines I've ever heard in my life. And the NCAA ran it on a commercial during March Madness last year. I'm sitting with my freaking family on Friday because I love college basketball, and I'm like brainwashing my children with March Madness so that they too will love college basketball. And this NCAA commercial comes on showing some kids jousting, some fencing, some basketball, some volleyball, and then boom, fists with anti-racism, Black Lives Matter. If you are silent, like if you are not anti-racist, you are complicit. And then another sign that says silence is violence. And then boom, back to the sports shit. And dude, I honestly was so hot about that if one of these Frankenfem geeks had been in the room who created that ad, I would have fist fought him, like right there in the living room. Like I could not.
And I wouldn't have blamed you.
That was happening.
Would not have blamed you.
Oh, actually, poisoning my children. Like, no, I'm not anti-racist. Black Lives Matter was created by 3 disastrous Marxist lesbians who I don't want anything to do with.
Admittedly,
there's a reason why it all crashed down on Queer Plus. It's disgusting. And the idea that silence is violence is like the most coercive command I've ever heard in my life. You mean I have to speak your words or I've committed violence on you? Like, that is such an affront to my own liberty that I now will commit violence on you just for commanding that on me.
It's manipulative.
Now, I'm going to show you something to that effect. I'm going to show you how deep the brainwashing goes. So I went to college for 2 years. Okay. I went to University of Baltimore, and I took these pictures. I was walking to.
Give me a year. I'm sorry to interrupt. Give me a year frame, a time frame.
Okay. So I went to University of Baltimore from 2012 to 2024.
Gotcha. Height of the Obama era, baby. Let's go.
Oh yeah. So I think when did I take these pictures? I think it was 2023. I was home for Christmas. I was down in Baltimore, and I saw these pictures. This plaza that I'm about to show you, it's an alley. Okay. But when I saw it, I had to take pictures of it, and I called it. And this is your fault, by the way, Theo. I called this the Church of the Same Thing. Yes. Here we go.
I love it.
Here we go. Where is it? There we go.
Oh my God. Let me read it.
This is on University of Baltimore's campus right now.
Wow. It is the same thing and just in church front form. It's almost beautiful.
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter. Yeah. We got the pro-abortion activism on there because why not, man? Throw it all in the shitter. You've got the pride. I mean, it's just incredible. That's an incredible image, Isaiah. Thank you for taking that, by the way.
What does it say? Trans equality with what? What does it? What does that even mean? Trans equality with what?
Exactly.
What does it mean?
Who knows?
What do they do in there? If you don't mind, real quick, though,
I don't get it.
If you don't mind, leave that image up or scroll through those images while I make this one point, because I wanted to make a point about repressive tolerance earlier, and it fits in perfectly here. So you described brilliantly, by the way, Isaiah, the bludgeon of repressive tolerance, how I'm going to attack you to force my views, and the shield I put up to not allow your views. Okay. Sort of like a weapon of it, if you will. But it's important to understand the ideological foundation of it, meaning what it does to suppress out contrary positions and what it does to cement their own in. And the greatest example of that is this other term that I've dubbed that I think might be my most important kind of intellectual creation is critical Christ theory. And it's just the idea of, if you look at critical race theory, critical masculinity theory, critical gender theory, critical immigration theory, the way they radicalize down all these veins, the exact same attack is occurring against the church. And nobody could embody this better than who? Billy Porter, who was the person who defiled St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City about a year and a half ago at important facts here, at a funeral for a transgender person who somehow cracked into the Catholic Church and had their like wake inside St. Patrick's, where Billy Porter performed a song, and these queer plus activists took, I don't want to use the word stage because it's the altar at St. Patrick's Cathedral, one of the most holy buildings in our nation, and they called Mother Mary a whore from the altar of St. Patrick's Cathedral. So imagine just the level of cultural capital you're like seizing there. It's like those queer plus activists pissing all over the Olympic opening ceremonies. It's like, in your face, we are seizing your cultural capital. Well, why is Billy Porter's name important? Who headlined the DNC convention 2020? Billy Porter. Who had that batshit crazy guitar song? Something happened today, with all the white boomers in their 60s. All right, stop now, with the revolutionary colors tearing apart the American flag. Who was on the stage in a dress? Billy Porter. Right? So the progress movement is embodying the trans activism, is embodying the gender shit. And I've written a bunch, and I won't get off here because it's not about me, but I've written a bunch about how the fundamental principles of, if you look at queer plus ideology as a scripture, as a almost religion, as a doctrine, books, if you will, right? The fundamental principles of it stand in diametric opposition to the fundamental principles of Christianity, which is what I surround myself with, even though I've grew up non-religious. And it can't be summed up any better than where it's crashed down on trans activism. And that's because trans activism was always the spearhead, or it became the spearhead of this greater equity capture. And if you think about the one line in scripture of how God created boys and girls in the image of perfection, that line must be a lie, and therefore God is a lie. If God messed up royally and we need drugs and surgeries in order to change boys and girls into their better man, into their image of perfection. So my point is, to end this ramble, is that ideological set, which is the very heart of equity. It's not about skin color, and it's never been about skin color. That's why it was spearheaded by Marxist lesbians, stands in diametric opposition to the fundamental principles of Christianity. So if we can force it upon society with a vehicle like pride, one of the 7 deadly sins of Christianity, while at the same time villainizing and demonizing the very principles of Christianity, like the father is the protectorate, like the mother is the nurturer, like pro-life, like pro-nuclear family, all the contrary principles of the queering movement, right? Exactly. So I think the more important understanding of Hatecraft is not just how these assholes will come attack you in the public domain, because with all due respect, most of them are twerps, man. And that's why I speak the way I am. Like, would any of these dudes come up to me in their lipstick and heels and talk shit to me in real life? Hell no, because it wouldn't end well for them. So it's important to understand the bludgeon, but I think it's much more critical to understand the greater games that are at play, and how Hatecraft at a government level is forcing our populace, it's social engineering, gens, to adopt one book
funded directly by the federal government.
Yes, there you go.
There's my
speech on critical crisis
by the federal government,
by the taxpayer.
Yes, sir. And we're seeing that now, right? As
my tax dollars,
which is ridiculous.
And again, folks, we are going to go into a deep dive, but this is what I'm gonna do real quick, because I flashed this on the screen here. This is
I want to real quick. I just want to say, Theo, that speech that Isaiah's went through echoes a lot of what you just said, like the anti-virtue, basically Christian wisdom, just wisdom across religions, really. Like, it goes against frequently religions. So
I missed the first half of that when I was troubleshooting. I'm going to go back and watch.
Yeah, I put it under our video, but you can go back and see. Like, I don't know if I mentioned Christian, maybe I do, but I'm talking about, like, our ancient wisdom, our modern wisdom across, like, I'm sure Islam, defying some Islam, they're defying Judaism, defying some of the wisdom in Buddhism, Hinduism, you name it. Like,
it's our most fundamental like foundations. It's the ground floor stuff, man. Absolutely.
And virtue ethics and stuff, like of freaking who is it, Aristotle, you name it.
And to Theo's point, this is why I brought up the Antonio Gramsci quote. And I'm going to read it real quick. It says, socialism is precisely the religion that must overwhelm Christianity. In the new order, socialism will triumph by first capturing the culture via infiltration of the schools, universities, churches, and the media, by transforming the consciousness of society.
That is the very definition
This
of
is
the term
it
we're
right
all
here.
familiar with. Yep, the long
This is
march
it
to
right
the
here.
institutions. That is the definition of the long march to the institutions.
That's definitely
And
happening. Yeah.
And I mean this
And
point
if-
blank. I find that mantra and that quote to be the equivalent of fighting words, meaning
Oh, yeah.
I would take up arms to oppose someone who is bound by that principle. And I say that as what I consider myself still a non-Christian, but I go to mass every single Sunday. I'm raising my family in the Catholic Church. They go to Catholic school. I write about these virtues and these values all the time and how they stand. Let's not use the opposition, because then it's like I'm setting up a holy war here, and I don't mean it that way. How important these values and virtues are to my family. They are the building blocks that we've decided to build my family upon. And if you are telling me that your hell-bent mandate or objective is to take your new religion, socialism, I don't give a shit what title you've put on it, and your goal is to eradicate the very values that I want to build my family with, then you are my sworn enemy, man. I hate to use that kind of language,
indeed.
but it's
But
that
you have
simple.
to. You have to. Because listen, this is how, and yes, I'm going to play that Michael Knowles clip. Because if you want to see, folks, look who we've got here. She's here. And it's right around the time. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now is my friend, a friend of the show, Evan Barker. Hey,
Evan.
Hey.
welcome in.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome.
How's it going?
Oh, I'm all right. You're coming in real low.
Okay, how's this?
But
You
it
might
does
need
look
it closer.
awesome in the background with the drums. So
Wait,
I told her the next time that she came that she had to do a drum solo.
that looks
but-
awesome. Yeah, exciting background.
So what I want to do is I want to show you what the highest being in the oppression hierarchy looks like in praxis, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, real quick before you hit
have
play
to
on
see
that.
this. Yeah.
Before you hit play on that, I wanted to make this
What?
comment earlier, and I hate to do this. I know it's kind of kid glove shit, which I'm not about at all, but I think it's an important point to make. You made a comment earlier where we were talking about like some serious vitriol at the trans. And I just want to make it clear that where this whole line got crossed and everything went foobar was when this ideological set was forced upon us. And what I simply mean by that is it's ultimately not about the people. I am real big on to each their own, man. You do whatever you want to do in your life.
Most of us
But
are.
when- yeah, exactly. And you are as well, Isaiah. But when you step upon me and say you are going to call me she when I'm he, or you're going to call me zer, or honestly, we can step away from the gender. You're going to do any sort of ideological thing, you want me to, then I'm going to draw the line. So anyways, our vitriol is angled at that, the demand that we must acquiesce to what is, to me, this bizarre, deranged LARP, right? One that we're going to see in this video clip real profoundly.
Yeah, and I like what originally turned me when it comes to that movement, it was how they policed dating apps. That was real bad.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
anyways, I'm gonna show. This is Michael Knowles doing, I guess, battle up against the highest being in the oppression hierarchy.
Cool.
Here we go.
God the Father.
Yes, the God. Oh God. Here we go.
Hi,
God-
Hello?
Blossom. She, her, hers powerhouse.
The Blossom Powerhouse. Lovely to meet you.
Yes. Go ahead. I want to know your ideology around transgenderism, something that doesn't exist. It just sounds more like conservative propaganda. So I kind of want to know a little bit more about what you're trying to communicate.
Okay, I think for all of history everywhere, people have understood the human person to have something to do with his body. So like your body has something to do with who you are. Now there is an alternative view, which is called Gnosticism. It's a view that our bodies don't really have anything to do with who we are, that the body is maybe even evil, and that our true selves have no connection to our bodies. And I see in the transgender ideology a kind of Gnosticism that says that you could look like a man, you could have a man's genetics, you could have a man's genitals, you could have a man's everything. But if you feel on some deep level that you're really a woman, then you are really a woman. And I don't think that's true. And I think that the social effects of that are really bad because it leads to the depriving women of their legitimate rights. In some cases, it leads to rapes, notably in the last few years. And it also leads to women losing their sports competitions and their scholarships, and it's just disordered and false. And it also leads to more people adopting this identity, which leads to very high rates of anxiety, depression, and suicide. So it's bad for everyone, and it's not grounded in reality.
Oh, I don't even think you understand what you say sometimes. I don't think you even understand what you say, because when we talk about these rape cases of women in the restroom, they're coming from cis men like you. So let's be very clear.
No, that's not true. In 2021,
do not interrupt a black
well, I'm just trying to correct you. Well, I would never interrupt a black woman.
No, thank you.
Here's
the thing about me as a black trans woman. I am not a threat to cis women, and I think it is harmful that you are going around here spewing that rhetoric, weaponizing this rhetoric against trans people.
Weaponize.
Do not interrupt the black trans woman when she's speaking.
As a black trans woman, like. My mind goes back to the Time magazine cover.
America's next civil rights frontier.
Yes, what was it? The tipping point, the transgender tipping point, where we had Laverne Cox's big ass on that on the cover and presented to the American people as a new way of knowing, as an other ways of knowing. Like, it's this is
think about the language too. Tipping point, next civil rights frontier. I mean, it's shocking language in hindsight.
Honestly, dude, it's not a necessity. They need another civil rights frontier because they're done. They're basically been done. You know what I mean? Like, it's not.
They ran out of minorities.
Yeah, they ran out of minorities. They ran out of significant oppression or racial-based oppression and laws. So they had to come up with something.
I mean, it's almost that simple. Because the comment I was going to make coming off that video is it's just shocking the intellectual perversion or retardation, if you will, at the end there. That I hated this mantra that drove all of like feminist activism, but the idea was that men are dangerous. We're predators, right? And to some extent, men can be aggressive and dangerous, which is why we social order between men and women, or like governance order, right? But what's interesting is at the end of that clip here, the final crash down of progress ideology, because to your point, Nick, it had to keep eating something. The Frankenstein needed to eat, it needed to keep going. That crazy dude is yelling at the end, I am not any more of a threat than a woman. I am not a threat. I don't put anyone in danger. It's the exact inversion of that principle.
Exactly. Crazy. Exactly.
I don't want to be in the bathroom with her.
Of course not.
Yeah, no, me either. And I've actually been in this situation. By the way, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you.
Perfect.
No, I've been in this situation in San Francisco. I live in San Francisco right now. I haven't been like sexually assaulted thank God, but I've been in the situation where I've been in a locker room at a spa in San Francisco, actually. And the person next to me was not a woman. And, I felt very uncomfortable with that and, expressed that to some of the people that I was with. But they basically said, we just have to accept people's pronouns, Evan.
Don't be hate, Evan. Don't be hate.
I mean, that's what they said. It was like I was with a group of women and men, and the women basically were just like, well, it's fine. And then the guy that was there was like, well, you just, you can't complain about that because like clearly that person is, I mean, and they use this exact ideology. Like that person is a lot more vulnerable than you are in society is how they, and of course, this was last year. I was a lot more quiet about these things. I was still on the other side, still very much in the Democratic Party machine. And, especially in San Francisco, if I had gone to that business and if I had complained about it, what do you guys think would have happened to me?
Oh, of course. You'd be like outcasted. Absolutely.
I would have been
or even worse back then, you would have been like mobbed at the time. That actually did happen. That exact same thing, if you guys remember, got caught on video. And it was like a young girl and their mom, I think, complaining. And the staff came out and attacked them as being what? Hatecraft, right? Bigots and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely, Evan. You didn't have a choice in that about it. Nice to meet you, by the way. I know of you, but I've never met you.
I'm sorry. I didn't give a. You know what? That's
it's all
me.
good.
I should have.
I said, damn it.
I wasn't calling you out, Isaiah. I mean, I guess I just did, but that wasn't my point. It's nice to meet her.
Well, no, Evan is amazing. I actually, I actually did her show yesterday. And when is that? When is that?
Gonna drop tomorrow morning, maybe late tonight.
Awesome.
I'm excited.
The new Evan Barker dropping, featuring
Isaiah
Jordan.
We'll watch.
Yeah. It was it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing her.
Doing we actually talked quite a bit about this, and I didn't even expect to, but
I've got more from this. Like this was a big topic.
Yeah, real quick, because I think there's an interesting discussion point here. Is that it's interesting to. Going back to that notion of repressive tolerance, right? Because what Evan just said is they attacked with the same ideology, and they led with, as always, it's safety. It's a safety front. Well, they're more vulnerable. They need the extra protection. We need to do this for them, right? What's interesting is to take that same analysis over to the prison side. And I won't get long-winded on this, but the final crash down of repressive tolerance and this hatecraft where you are required to do our whatever it be agenda, and yours is going to be deemed hate, so it's going to kind of steamroll yours, is when it goes against the will of the masses. Inevitably, the masses are going to push back and say no. And then what the final chapter of the hatecraft becomes is the very action of unwinding their own usurpation becomes its final chapter of the hatecraft. So where I'm going with that in the prison environment is we're seeing all of the empathy troop roll out this narrative now because they realize they've lost the ideological battle. No, Americans do not want men pretending they're women in female prisons. They're rolling out this empathy attack of, think about what this is going to look like, guys. If we take these men who are living as women, which they still call women, trans women, and we put them into the male population, they're going to be treated very poorly. And the discussion point that I kind of want to say time out on there, that is actually one that's really worth thinking about, because I think it goes to the greater equity conversation in of itself, is yes, that is an objective part of reality. Men who are very effeminate don't do very well in a room full of lions. It's always been that way since the beginning of time, and it's going to always be that way. And the reality is, this is a catalyst about much more than just trans activism. This is a catalyst for how we got the entire enchilada of critical Christ theory and this notion of destabilizing those environments because they're wrong, because they're hate. So where I'm going with all that is there actually is a delicate conversation to be had there that, yes, to some extent, I do feel sorry for the very effeminized men in prisons who are now going to be returned to a male population when they've been dressing as females for a long time, because I understand the rugged and rough dynamics of a prison all too well to understand what's going to happen to them. But where I'm going with this all is, let's assume there was never this transgender equity revolution across America. It's not as if these same men were going to have a lovely time in prison anyways. These were already the very fringe, very outcasted, very far edges of the bell curves. And in an unregulated environment where lions reign supreme, those men were never going to do well. So if you go back to the repressive tolerance analysis, it's absolutely disgusting that we would now be required to even throw onto the consideration like the inversion of what you've done. Like we should have never been here. And I'm not going to now worry about the empathy implications of unwinding this madness. You see what I'm saying?
To that point, Theo, not to cut you off.
No, I was done.
But I have something here that goes to your point. I'm not going to, I'll get back to the Michael Nolan stuff.
I want to say real quick, Isaiah, just real quick after what he just said. It's like, also let's keep in mind, a lot of those people aren't necessarily even effeminate or even trans. They're just people who want to avoid going to prison with men, and they'd rather be in a prison with all women.
That's a good point.
Some of them are
probably totally happened. Actually,
yeah, we enabled
it. Has
it.
happened.
Ain't no problem.
Some of them are rapists,
probably
sexual abusers, and some of them are probably just regular dudes. Are like, would I rather be in a freaking cage with crazy men, or would I rather be in a cage with a lot of women? And at least maybe I'll hook up with some of them. At least they're less dangerous to me because I'm a man.
Right.
Like,
and doesn't that go to Michael Knowles' point that
men, you get killed at any moment by those people?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
if we allow
any guy
this,
would choose to do that,
Evan,
pretty much.
it grows.
Evan, you were going to say something, Evan?
No, I was just I don't think the mainstream media really reports on those instances very often. And so to be totally honest and frank, like, you know, I wasn't really woken up to the whole gender conversation until after I became a mother. I have a 2.5-year-old little boy, and I started going with him to libraries and children's spaces, and I started seeing just all of this, you know, these books, basically like the gay BCs and, you know, just different stuff like that.
What?
There's a book. I actually took him to the library today and I saw this book, which is why I just referenced it.
Gay BCs? That's a thing?
It's a real book for a child. It's geared for like a toddler, you know, my son's age. And we were at the children's library today, actually, and I pulled it out and I saw it again. And it's the gay BCs. And one of, you know, when you get to the letter T, it defines trans, it defines intersex in the book. And this is a book for for a 2-year-old. And so that's when I started to wake up and I started to become outraged because I started seeing these subliminal messages everywhere. I took my son to a museum in San Francisco last year and they were having gay pride at the children's museum. And I just I don't care if I have lots of gay friends. I've gone to gay pride myself before. I don't have any problem with it, but I just don't think that it belongs in spaces where geared for children. I think that when you're doing that, it's clearly it is the left likes to make fun of the right and say, oh, they're just crazy conspiracy theorists. They think we're trying to indoctrinate their children, but actually that's what it is.
No, it is.
It's exactly what it is.
And
it's
so
exactly what it is.
Right. And so I started paying attention to this more when I became a mother. But as far as seeing cases of biological men that have entered women's prisons, I don't think that those cases are really reported widely on.
No, of course not. And why not? I mean, who's the biggest civil rights organization, at least in our lifetime? The ACLU, Civil Liberties Union, right? Who have they been on this entire time? They have been fighting for that radicalism in prisons to have the men in. I mean, to plug real quick here, KPSS, Keep Prison Same Sex, they're awesome. They've done amazing work on this.
Absolutely.
And you're absolutely right, Evan.
I know who they are.
You're absolutely right, Evan,
Great
that it's
group
not
of
getting
people.
any mainstream play because it goes against the Truman Show narrative. And our own civil liberties organizations are the ones who are fueling it. They have filed some legal pleadings in some cases on this that are so dogmatic and insane. It just makes my mind want to explode as a lawyer. Real quick, because this is a story that'll blow people's minds if they've never heard it. And this is all through the work of those from KPSS. This isn't my own stuff. But at a prison in Washington State, somebody, and I'm tired tonight, I should have had this name, from KPSS, wanted to get data from a Washington prison system on the prevalence of sexual assaults actually occurring by what are claimed to be trans women in women's prisons, okay? Put simply, how bad is this problem? Let's look at the data.
I remember this story.
Yes, and the prison system said no. So then they did a again, tired brain. They did the transparency request, right? Where you got to give them the public records. Dude, the local governing authority passed a law that said it was illegal for those requests to come in on this specific basis. Not any request for prisons, not for white people or black people or this, that, but transgender requests about the violence. And what basis did they use? They're vulnerable. Safety. They will be put at threat of harm if this data gets out.
What about the women that they prison with them?
Yes, exactly.
Are they not vulnerable?
Fuck them.
The last piece of this story,
you gotta reframe. Fuck them.
Women,
You gotta reframe. You have to reframe your trauma.
They should have got their
Exactly.
put themselves in that position in the first place.
It's the next America's civil rights frontier. I mean, we got to prioritize here. So the part of the story that's really make your head explode and why KPSS got so involved in it and tried to make it public, but it didn't get that public, is that the ACLU got involved very predictably here on the so somebody sued against that new law. Hey, this is unconstitutional. We have the right to this information. The ACLU jumped in on behalf of the prison system to prevent the information getting out. And what I want everybody to just stop and think about.
Wow.
Back up 40 years ago and what the very essence of the ACLU was, okay? Slightly tweak the fact pattern. And let's say a prison system in Washington made a change to policy that was having a detrimental impact on the Black population at that prison. Let's say that a civil group, a group of citizens concerned about it, asked for data at that prison, and the prison system was like, nah, we're not going to show you the data because we don't want you to see if maybe this policy is actually disproportionately hurting Black inmates. Which side would the ACLU have been on? They would have been the ones filing the lawsuit for that data. Look how inverted it is. They're preventing the data that showed women were at harm. I mean, that was one of those moments for me that was very, very analogous to 2020, June 5th,
this has been
when the
going
doctor
on.
said that COVID was like white supremacy. Remember that epidemiology letter?
Yep.
That
I remember
KPSS
that.
moment in Washington's prison was equivalent to me. It was a moment where I realized how deep we were.
And understand, ladies and gentlemen, this is not just happening in Washington State. This is not just happening in California. This is happening in New York. This is happening in all. This is happening in blue states all across the country.
Right. So how dare they make equity seem like it's about skin color? Like, look at this fact pattern. It's not about skin color, but this is part of the equity crusade, man.
Yeah. So
also one more thing, real quick. I just want to say, it's also we're talking about these guys aren't even necessarily, like I said, like all you have to do is identify it. Like it's just really, you just have to say it, right?
That's
if I'm not mistaken, you don't have to go to see it. Maybe you have to see a therapist or psychologist or something like that.
Nope.
After you
that's
say
not,
it.
No.
So
That's over. That's over.
Case, you don't have to have any history. You don't have to. You just be like, well, no, I'm trans actually, so I'm gonna be in the women's prison. So otherwise it's just
that's over.
Otherwise, it's a human rights violation. So okay.
In fact, the affirmative model. If you want to know, and this is something that's very important to me.
Horse shit.
It's big pile of it. But this is what has me going crazy. The mental health industry, the mental health field, rather, is absolutely like fucked right now, because what they started doing was they started going to what's called the affirmative model. They used to have it started with transgenderism, right? With this, it used to be, okay, you feel this way, but let's get to why you feel that way.
Right.
And what they would do is they'd find all sorts of like comorbidities. If they would find that the dysphoria was a comorbidity with a lot of other shit. So like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and all that. So here's what ended up happening with this. They outlawed, a lot of states have outlawed that under the guise of, and you'll never wait for it, conversion therapy.
Oh, wow.
So if you want to know why your therapist and your psychiatrist are basically pill mills right now and don't really get to the bottom of anything, and this got really bad.
So pause there. So it's, you must agree to transgender or else you were doing conversion therapy.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
A girl can walk into Planned Parenthood right now, and if they say they're experiencing dysphoria or they're trans or whatever, they will get on a shot of they will get on a puberty blocker regimen within an hour. Okay? That's happening right now. But I want to play this before we get, because we've got a lot of stuff to get to tonight. This is another clip from Michael Knowles. Okay. These are the type of people who have been who have literally had all of the power for the last several years.
Hi. All right. I feel as though a lot of your claims today have been backed by this energy that you just want to erase LGBTQI plus people and our history.
Where do you get that from?
From your perspective on a lot of the trans.
Because I'll tell you what, all I've been doing, I've just been coming here and citing historical examples and citing a lot of scientific studies and telling you explicitly that I'm talking about an ideology that I think is not conducive to the flourishing of anyone, and for the good of everyone, including you guys, I would like to see a restoration of sensibility. And every time I say something like that, you say, nah, man, I just kind of feel the vibes that you hate us and want to erase us all. And I don't know where you're getting that from.
Let's join your side and let's say, you know what, let's say everyone should follow your lead. And let's say as a society, we should ban pride. And let's say as a society, we should eradicate trans people.
Transgenderism, again, I
think
you're being obtuse here.
Transgenderism encapsulates everything LGBTQIA+, just in
that isn't true. It's just an idea that a boy can become a girl, which isn't true. And I think we should forget about that so that people, including the ones who think that they're the opposite sex, can flourish again.
So you would agree with me when I say by eradicating transgenderism, you would also eradicate the history of trans people, just in general.
Well, you can read it. You can. We can eradicate.
Here in this room today because of Black trans women and because of.
I am not in this room because of Black trans women. I can promise.
Why are you in this room then?
Because I was invited on this podcast
to advocate
explain
what exactly? The hate speech, the rhetoric that you spread on your little YouTube channel?
No, just to advocate truth and sensibility.
Truth and sensibility.
Reality.
The truth of the fucking matter is you're surrounded by 25 really proud LGBTQIA people who do not give a fuck about you.
You obviously do. You're here talking to me. What are you talking about? You obviously care what I have to say.
Because you give
You're
such
sitting
a hard
6 inches from me.
us.
I just want to be on YouTube, Michael.
Yeah, some just want to be on YouTube. No, I'll tell you what. Look, we can.
Obsessed, and it's harmful when in history, but also today. This month alone, our entire government is run by straight white men who are hurting these communities.
These are the people who have been controlling your lives for up until January 20th of 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the types of people who have been controlling your lives, controlling what you watch on television. They've been controlling the books you read. They've been controlling the news that you get. They still are. They still are. Okay, those are the ones who have completely and totally made it more difficult. If you're a gamer, if you play video games, they're the ones who are fucking up your video games. If you go to a sporting event, okay, especially if you're a soccer fan like I am, and like Nos is here. I don't know if Theo or Evan are soccer fans, but but it's so hard. Like those are the people who have run everything for up until again January 20th of 2025.
Yeah.
And
look at Jaguar.
What has to happen now? Your car companies,
dude, that was crazy. And it wasn't a one-off. Like they had hired that maniac. They had given him the keys and carte blanche to change the whole damn brand. And he was like, "Let's go queer Jaguar." I mean, it's
Bud Light, guys. Bud Light.
Bud Light,
drinking
absolutely.
that shit anyways.
Hey, you know what's really interesting to think about, and this is not my theory, but
wait, Theo, I want to stop you right there. I just want everybody to acknowledge something though before you get into this, Theo. It's like we only acknowledge that we're all here because of Black trans women. All four of us. All of us are on Earth
here because of Black trans.
All of us are on
only
Earth
here because
right now because of Black trans women.
Slay queen.
But no, the theory that's really worth thinking about, it reveals how much this was a cultural attack. Let's be willing to use the term a cultural revolution. Is if you look at the brands that really got attacked, the directions, they were all the really conservative spaces. Go down the list real quick. Ready? Bud Light and Budweiser.
Yep.
NASCAR. Country music,
Ooh.
UFC, and another one. It was the person who
NFL.
I first read this from. Yes,
NFL.
The sports leagues. Think about that. The sports leagues. Queer plus activists MLS, don't even like sports.
Hold on. Theo. MLS, still have this problem.
Yes, it's all the conservative spaces, man. They
remember when everybody was kneeling down before every game for like a whole fucking year?
Yep,
before
absolutely.
Every game,
Black Lives Matter, bro.
Kneeling down like a goddamn religious freaking ritual every game, every week.
And I'm going to say what that guy said in that video, when he looked at him and said, you're basically perpetuating hate speech. Like that sort of rhetoric, that reaction to what Michael Knowles was saying, that is the reason that they have had so much power over the past 4 years, is because if you question their reality, if you question any aspect of it, you're automatically labeled somebody that is perpetuating hate. And honestly, Isaiah, I thought that probably the big reason that all of these psychologists and psychiatrists have been, just writing these prescriptions like crazy. Yeah, they've switched to affirmative care, but I think a lot of it also probably goes back to this this same idea of just being afraid.
Yes,
you know,
losing their license.
Has that
It's
changed,
losing their
Evan? You said
license.
you're in San Francisco. Has that vibe changed, or is it still the wicked Hatecraft everywhere?
It's so interesting. I just talked to this parent yesterday, and it was a dad. I'm not going to say his name, obviously, but we were talking about how the city of San Francisco has just defied this executive order. They've come out and said that they're defying the executive order by Donald Trump to ban biological boys from playing in girls' sports in schools. And this dad was basically saying to me, you know, behind the scenes, we're like, these parents, we're all kind of talking to each other. And like, I've been hearing stories about boys that are playing girls' soccer, and like, and these girls are actually like getting they're getting beat up, you know, by these boys. And
that's happening.
It sounds, it is. And it sounds like the parents are here, at least, are still mostly afraid to say anything. And I've even had conversations with other parents, and I've tried to bring this stuff up. And, you know, when I do, I'm always shut down, and it really, really, really upsets people. It's like, it really just like threatens them in some way, even if they don't have a trans child, like just the idea of even, and I've said to them, I'm like, in the future, I think that this whole time period is going to be looked at the same way that we now look at lobotomies when those were happening back in the 1920s. And and also the way that we look at the Oxycontin crisis, the way that doctors used to just prescribe Oxycontin to everybody, you know, even though the pharmaceutical companies had information that it was actually very damaging. And we have information now that HRT and all, you know, and testosterone and all these medications that we're giving to these young kids is very damaging. We've, you know, we have the CAS report. We have countries in Europe that have come out and started to ban this stuff. And people, liberals in the United States, still look the other way. And it's so hypocritical.
And they'll never admit it. And they'll never admit it because it's going to be, I mean, they're just going to pretend like it didn't happen. They're going to sweep it under the rug, the CNNs and MSNBCs.
Because when they do, it's going to be a huge scandal. When they finally admit it, will
they're
be
complicit.
Exactly.
the scandal of a generation.
But why would they do? But my question is, why would they do that? I have two questions. I want to
answer that.
There's a business.
Before we move, but well, it is a business, and it's a multi-billion-dollar business. But here's the question that the two questions I want to ask, and it's a question I asked yesterday of you, Evan. Why is there so much? If this is a naturally occurring thing, if this is just something that was always, that was just, you know, just a spirit of being, right? Something that naturally just existed. Why all the force?
Sure.
Why all the top down? Why all the top down enforcement? Why the blasphemy laws? Why do we have like why is there such a forcing of this issue from the top down?
Yeah, the question provides the answer, my brother.
You like there's like this is it's like you're not like at what point, and then the next question is at what point does this forcing become recruitment?
Of course.
But anyways,
but you're not allowed to say that.
Yeah, we're not. So I'm gonna move on to the next thing, because being normal is counterculture. Okay, it is like having a president drive the beast around Daytona, you know what I'm saying? Like riding in the beast and like in a Cadillac, like that's Americana, right? We're switching gears real quick, but Clay Travis was on a panel last week, and I want to play this clip for you. And Evan, I want when we on the other side of it, I want to get your take on this. Basically, what he was saying is that the context of this conversation is they don't know if there are any masculine figures on the Democrat Party. Watch.
Young men have not become much more conservative, at least according to Gallup, but they have become more Republican. So you have this interesting...
Wait, say that again, the men?
They have not identified as more conservative, but they are becoming more Republican. So from the Obama era, you know, young men and young women were Democrats, right? For both elections, strong majorities of young men and young women voted for Barack Obama. And then you had a slow decline, right? This didn't happen in just one election. There's been a deterioration of democratic identity among young men for over 10 years. And so
are you saying specifically they turn against Democrats?
I'm saying that they are more, yes, they are more Republican now, but not necessarily because they've shifted the right on issues like climate change or abortion or same-sex marriage. They're still well to the left of their dads and grandfathers when it comes to that stuff. And so you have this really interesting situation where this group, again, looks on paper fairly liberal in a lot of ways. And in point of fact, you had 6 in 10 young men who are moderates vote for Trump, and more than 1 in 5 liberal young men vote for Trump, right? And so if we're going to look for explanations, we need to move beyond issues. We need to understand, like, there's something about Trump that was attractive, and then there's something about the Democratic Party, at least in its current manifestation, that was repellent.
I was really struck by you saying, especially that, even if they are more likely to identify as Republicans, they're still far more liberal than the men of generations before them. And I think that that's something that would surprise a lot of young women like myself to hear that. I was surprised. So what is it that we're missing about, or what is it that people who are not, who, as Magdalene said, people who don't understand why? That's my first question. I have a second one, but go ahead.
Okay, so what I would start with is men aspire to be bigger, stronger, and faster than we are, almost universally. That's why superheroes are popular. That's why pro athletes are popular. Who is the most masculine Democrat right now in America? Mayor Pete.
Is that a gay joke?
No, Mayor Pete. No, well, no, it's just that he's not particularly masculine. Nobody's like, oh, Mayor Pete, he's a badass. Chuck Schumer. Is anybody like, hey, Chuck Schumer holding up an avocado and a beer to talk about the Super Bowl? Is anybody like that trying to grill? Is anybody like, hey, that's a dude I want to hang out with?
But Trump's like a grandpa.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Trump took a bullet in his ear and immediately stood up and said, fight, fight, fight. Every man in America and most of the women out here were impressed by that, even if the women won't admit it. She's shaking her head strong. And second part of this, basically summing it up, Democrats for men are pussies and Republicans
Democrats for men
are pussies. There are no masculine men in the Democrat Party right now.
I mean, he nails it. I just gotta say that. I gotta say that. Yeah, as somebody who I worked in Democratic politics off and on since 2008, and I've noticed a marked shift over the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, this stuff, basically what he's saying, he's absolutely right. Not only did the Democratic Party not try to reach young men or men in general this election, but they've actively shut them down and degraded them, just even from the meetings that I used to be in all the time, guys. I used to be in Zoom meetings, working with candidates, and on a daily basis, I would hear things about, open insults about especially white men, but men in general, just out in the open, said by women, sometimes echoed by other men in the meeting, just because they probably felt like they had to say those things in order to fit in. And maybe some of them are self-hating. I don't know. But I even found I found myself doing it sometimes, and I have regrets about that. I feel ashamed of that, but at least I'm able to say that to you guys now and to be honest.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But I felt like I had to do it in order to fit in because I didn't want to be labeled as, one of those people. Like I wanted to be seen as an ally. And so that has been the culture within the Democratic Party. I mean, I was literally told to ignore resumes from white men. I did.
What?
It's bone chilling. What you're referring to is absolutely bone chilling. The level of ideological coercion is bone chilling. Isaiah and Nick, do you mind if I read a post I wrote one time? It's only like 4 paragraphs long. Do you mind? It's very relevant.
Not at all. Do you have it? Well, do you have it?
Yeah, I'll
have the link.
Yeah, I'll drop the link on it here too. The reason that I'm going to read this post is because there's ultimately a bigger story here, a story that goes back way before trans activism, right? And what we're referring to here, what is in essence the manufactured, the systematic, the institutionalized hatred of men that got so institutionalized it could be spoken openly at meetings, and that doesn't trigger any form of hate, right? These same meetings are melting down about end hate. We got to end hate. We can't be hate to this, and the queen of everything is the black trans woman, and we can't be hate to all this, but yet we're just openly bagging on men as like a culture.
And if you call it out, it's sexism.
And if you call it out, it's sexist. So it is the
you're
epitome
sexist,
of the hate
like
craft,
bitch,
and it's why
that hates women.
Why if you go back, you realize the concept of like the same thing is so important, and how the equity attack is all part of one big Borg. So anyways, let me just read this real quick. This was just a random post that I wrote one night at 9:30 at night. I don't even think I proofread it, but here's what I wrote. My 5-year-old son, who's the cutest guy in the world, just snuck in and gave me a note that I'm supposed to write a word in. Dempsey, you got to wait. I got to read this now because I've committed myself. Come here, buddy. I'm going to read this. He doesn't really need to hear. Oh, I can't. It's got bad language in it. All right, you guys chat for 2 seconds and let me say night to this cutie. I'll be right back.
Yeah. No, I'll say it's that guy brought up some good points, but it's more than that. I mean, it's also like Theo is probably to go into is like it has been probably about 15 years at least of probably longer than that actually of like bashing boys, bashing men, just the way we educate boys, like holding them to the same standards as girls. Girls, boys when they're younger need to run around more, they need to play more, they have a lot more energy. Girls probably do too. But
No,
definitely they definitely do. But boys even more. Boys are bananas usually. Maybe not always. But
They are. No, I see
animals.
it. I see it. I have friends with
My
girls.
nephews. Oh God.
Yeah, I have friends with girls that are my son's age, and the girls are just so much more chill. Like my son needs to run, he needs to destroy things,
and that's more conducive for a classroom. And I'm sure, like, again, nobody wants to sit in a classroom all day as a young kid and like sit down all day, quiet, listen to 8 classes in a row. I was in a school in middle school where it was like we had like a 20-minute recess, 15-minute lunch, and it's like then it's like some of I was misbehaving sometimes and I get in trouble. Luckily I grew up maybe a little before like the ADHD craze, because like maybe they would have gave me methamphetamine, and that is terrible because I've been on it since then, or not what do you call it, amphetamines, Adderall. And I've been on them as an adult, and it's like they help with work and stuff, but it's like I couldn't do that every day. Like it would fry my brain. It doesn't feel right. So there's that. I think boys have been growing up hearing that, feeling this attitude, like you guys are bad. Why don't you be like more like the girls? And then when you get older, then you see like the Gillette commercials, the toxic masculinity, over and over again, it's beaten over the head. Men are bad. Men are useless. Wouldn't the world be better if there's no men? Women are future is female. It's like accepted. It's like why? Like imagine if people. Imagine people were walking around with shirts, prominent people who are just took over the biggest franchise in entertainment, Star Wars, right? Kathleen Kennedy coming around with, the future is female on her shirt. It's like, this is a prominent person. And like, everybody's like, oh my God, it's so brave. It's like, no, like what if somebody came out like George Lucas or anybody, or Dana White said the future's male? Like, it's like, people would be like, what the hell's wrong with him? Like, take that stupid fucking shirt off. Like, why does it like have to be one sex? That's the future. Like we're supposed to be working together. We have to work together.
I've never. That's one of the things that I've genuinely hated.
Bananas
about our current culture. This desire that if I'm going to build up myself,
gotta push somebody else down.
I gotta push somebody else down.
Another identity, a whole group of people,
another identity,
the freaking world.
I mean, a part of that is human nature to some degree. But I just want to say this really quick. One time I saw this woman and she was wearing a shirt and it said, "The future is female ejaculation."
All right.
Wow.
Was in San Francisco. I had to share that.
Figures.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you.
The future is squirting.
Yes, we're gonna squirt right on by that.
So there's that, and then of course there's the media, right? There's a change in media, and we're still laughing about the squirting. But there's a change in media of what people are consuming, and men are consuming more the masculine podcast, Joe Rogan and his like Theo Vaughn and all those comedian guys.
Apostate Radio.
the Apostate Radio.
I heard the end of what you said there, Nick, and it's again, I hate to keep beating the same horse here, but it goes back to the notion of how this has all been the same thing. This has all been part of a larger cultural attack, the equity attack, because when you were just saying the future is female, can you imagine the head of an organization, the future is male, right? That fact pattern repeats across all the different fronts. There's such heinous anti-white headlines that if they were the same written with black, the country would be up at arms.
Definitely.
And nobody ever has to defend it, right? And when they do, it's always defended the same way. It's sort of analogous to that, well, they're vulnerable, their safety, we have to allow this. They use the notion of the minority versus the majority. Well, do you not agree that we've had a history of slavery? Well, do you not agree that women had to go through suffrage? Well, do you not agree that gay people weren't allowed to be married? As if because we once had civil rights movements, we are now just required to lay down to whatever you want, right? And it's just
constantly replay them. It's like reenacting a trauma.
Yes, it is.
And it's infantilizing because you're acting like certain groups of people, like black people, just can never overcome what happened 60 years ago, over 100 years ago with slavery. Just can't overcome it. Gotta constantly.
It's ridiculous.
And it's like so othering and infantilizing. It's like these are human beings that can definitely overcome it. A lot of different groups of people overcame a lot of crazy shit.
Yeah.
And you can do it. And to act like that, it's we just have to continue living like this arrested development of that era and cater to that. And that means any kind of injustice and terrible thing you could say about like the white people or men or whatever is okay. That's horseshit.
It's the center engine of equity revolution or radicalization, though, right? Because that's why let's call it the entertainment side of this all, the presentation side, be it our news or our New York Times or Hollywood, everything has to paint America as an oppressive shithole. Because if America is not an oppressive shithole, then none of us are going to be like, yeah, let's get rid of equality under the law and liberty for this dogmatic equity capture, this capture for the collective equity, because everything is so unfair and sucks. So that's why we have headlines from the New York Times that run photos from the 50s saying white people don't want black people to get ahead. What in the world are we talking about? Like, that era has not existed in America for a really long time.
It's disgusting. Yeah. I there's nothing. And then here's another question I have. At what point does it become wish casting? Right? Do you is the reason why you're planting all this imagery in people's heads? Do you want it to be that era where everything was on fire and whites hated blacks and blacks hated whites? Do you want that? Is that something that you're agitating for?
It sure seems like it.
Because if so, just admit it, and that way we can nip this thing in the bud and drive you fucking commies into the Atlantic Ocean. But because listen, I got a clip. You got to see this.
The goal of the international communist conspiracy is world domination. They have thus far been highly successful in accomplishing the step-by-step objectives necessary for reaching that goal. In the United States, the communist plans call for two revolutions at once. A revolution of a supposedly oppressed proletariat or working class against a capitalistic system that is supposed to breed wage slavery, unemployment, poverty, crises, and war. The second revolution is a revolt of the supposedly poor and oppressed Negroes of the Black Belt against the supposed lynching, segregation, social ostracism, and exploitation of the white man. Currently, what the communists call their Negro Revolutionary Movement, now masquerading behind the humanitarian banners of civil rights, is contributing tremendous momentum to the communist plans to take over the United States.
That's what we've been dealing with.
Yeah, no, real
that's what
quick,
we've been dealing
Isaiah, Marcusa, he brought up before, I think he famously said, and Jonathan Haidt mentioned this in The Coddling of the American Mind, that when he talked about where a lot of this stuff is coming from, like wokeness, he basically
love that
said,
movie / book. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, is there a movie yet already?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, I got to check that out.
Yeah.
But he said, Marcusa said something like, in order for and it's kind of like what Ibram Kendi says. He's like, in order to kind of balance out the injustices of the past, we have to have injustices now. We have to have oppression of the privileged people now.
That's
said that
what
in
it
the
is.
60s,
Mhm.
and that's really what it is now. It is, and that's why they feel good about it, because they're indoctrinated in this. They're like, well, yeah, why can't we talk shit about white people all the time? They talk shit about us. They say it themselves.
Right.
They talk shit about us for in the 60s and the 70s or whatever. And before that, it's like, yeah, well, guess what? We got past that, and now it's like maybe we should stop doing that because you're just going to bring back that era.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah, right,
radicalism.
exactly.
This
is what kills me. And see, and understand. This is what, like, I'm gonna give a perfect example. Sport. Okay? Yeah, I'm gonna go there for a second. Sport is supposed to be the ultimate unifier, right? I can't tell you how many, and I'm using this example for a reason. When I go to soccer matches, MLS games, okay, throughout the last 4 years, I was seeing like when I go to Audi Field, okay, because obviously I'm draped in my team's colors right now. I go to a lot of games, and there would be in the supporter section, they wouldn't be there were times when they wouldn't wave like black or red flags or black and red flags or anything like that. They would just simply wave their political banners, their identity flags or whatever.
Crazy.
And I'm like, that's not what this is about. It's like we're here for the game. We're here for the badge. You know what I'm saying? Like we're here to cheer our team to get, to pick up 3 points every game.
Support DC in general.
It's
not like the
to be
trans movement or the non-binary. It's like, oh my god.
Right. It's like I don't want an environment where that it's not even that.
Imagine how pissed they would get if they had MAGA flags and stuff.
Right.
It's like
if somebody walked in, exactly. Somebody walked into Audi Field with a MAGA hat on. And I'm betting you somebody's going to punch him in the face.
There's your repressive tolerance. So you can show up with all the progress agenda flags, but if you show up with a conservative flag, you're not welcome there because politics aren't welcome. Now, critically, that's because all of their agenda fronts are supported institutionally. If they were to show up about climate, what are you, a science denier? If they were to show up about queer plus, what do you, hate gay people? If they show up about trans activism, what, have you not read these studies? You see what I'm saying? They have the institutional support, so they don't see it as politics. They see it as like laws of nature.
Yes.
I got another example of this. There was a supporter group for the U.S. men's national team that was trying to break through. Okay, they wanted to have like an apolitical or more, I guess you could say, like something that wasn't leftist. Okay, like somebody who wanted to just simply be there for the group, be there for the guys. And the kid who did it, I'm not gonna reveal his name, but the kid who put this together, he's like 20, he's not even 25 years old. He puts this thing together, and within a week, they doxed him. They drove him off the internet. They closed, they shut down his website, the whole bit. Again, it's that repressive tolerance.
Fucking piranhas.
They're piranhas, and I'm tired of this in sport.
It's intolerant.
It's very
They projected everybody else is intolerant, but they are the most intolerant people in America.
Hey, speaking of soccer,
hate has no place here. Okay, so why are you spewing hate onto me for simply having a different?
You know what else doesn't have any place there? Conservatives and moderates have no place.
Yeah,
there
absolutely. In fact,
this is why
right
we need to be in these spaces.
Yes,
I'm
pause
sorry.
right there, Isaiah, to talk about a real life application of that repressive tolerance and what it looks like if we allow this to run to its end game in your world of soccer. Go back to the tale of Ashlyn Harris. For those who follow the U.S. women's national team, Ashlyn Harris, Jaylene Hinkle. Ashlyn Harris was the one who went after her. Jaylene Hinkle was one of the young and up-and-coming talents for the U.S. women's national team, who anyone who says this next statement is not true is lying through their teeth, would have been on the roster and might have damn well made the starting 11. She was left off the whole fucking thing. And I'm looking at this line from Ashlyn Harris. She says, it says, Ashlyn Harris says Jalen Hinkle was left off U.S. women's national team over her, quote, intolerance, not her religion. What that whole story was about was they were, of course, instead of wearing jerseys that are about their sports performance, were wearing these USSR patches of pride and progress and all this crazy ideological shit, which we talked about before you got on here, Evan, stands in diametric opposition to the fundamental principles of Christianity. She happens to be a devout Christian, and she said she would not wear those patches on her jersey while she plays. So that became, it wasn't about a religion why we threw her off, guys. She's intolerant. And why is she intolerant? Because the science, all of our Frankenfem-controlled institutions have decided that what Megan Rapinoe worships, those are laws of nature. That's pride and progress and everything good. It's just humanity. Are you against humanity?
Not to be debated, not to be argued.
Right.
Exactly.
If it was so natural,
Sacred.
if it was
They're
so
sacred.
natural,
Yeah.
if it was so natural, it wouldn't need to be forced.
Right, but
and,
they
and
threw
on,
off
and
the
on
team,
something else.
dude. They
Sounds
drove
like communism
off
to
the
me.
team for being. It is communism. It's exactly.
Now you look over my shoulder, okay, and you see two jerseys. One is one of my many jerseys with the number 52. That's what I wear. And shout out to Ray Lewis. But the number 11 is a gentleman by the name of Taxiarchus Fountas, Greek international player. Okay, played for my club for about a season and a half. Right, played a game against Inter Miami in close to the end of the season. 2022 was like a really, really bad season. There's some type of collision, and like he's fouled out outside, and there's some type of altercation that comes up. Fountas all of a sudden gets implicated in with allegations of racial slurs against a player. Okay, the refs that covered the match, the refs that were officiating the match, no evidence. There was no video. There was no video. There was no video. There was no audio. Nothing. And at the time, Taxi didn't speak great English. Okay, so Major League Soccer prolonged the investigation. Okay, when they finally concluded the investigation, which was after the conference finals of that year, because they dragged it on. They had several other investigations at the time that were closed within a week of each other, right? So what ended up happening, long story short, he got accused twice. And both times, there was no evidence, there was no audio, there was nothing. It was just simply the allegations.
It's enough.
And the allegations were enough. And why am I bringing this up? Because this is all part of it. This Hatecraft that Theo speaks of has people literally believing, well, black folk would never lie about something like that. Why would we like it just bleeds black folk and other minorities of all agency? Okay, it perpetuates noble savage shit. Okay, and quite simply, it's something that should never have been allowed to go so far. But unfortunately, it's still here. And Taxi is playing over in his home country of Greece, and I wish him all of the best. That man is my friend, and I would love for him to come back over here. But this is part of that culture that we have to get rid of. We have to get this woke garbage out of here because it takes so many different faces. But yet, like Theo said, it's the same thing. Evan, you want to?
Well, I was just going to ask you, do you guys think it's going to come back stronger than ever with Trump now back in office?
No.
You don't.
I don't think so.
No.
I think
it's not dead though. It's not dead yet though, but it's.
I think the political left will
I have a fear it
return.
will.
I think the political left will return, Evan, insofar as I think the right will overplay its hand. And as America's been lurching back and forth a lot lately, we're lurching strong right.
What do you mean by the political left? Could you define that for me?
Sure. I think that we are under a pendulum, massive yank down from a way over lurch to the left. And I think we're already seeing some pretty strong signs of overzealousness and a lack of safeguards on that side, that I think it's going to blow way out to the right and cause a public backlash against the people who are in power, which at that time will be GOP, red, Republicans, whatever. I think that will then build an energy around other side, blue, whatever, DNC.
That's what my worry is.
I don't think it will bring back woke capture and ideology. I think public sentiment across all camps is so strong that we will now be long marching this shit out of our institutions. So it'll be interesting to see how those two energies interplay. Will the DNC party be ready to bring back in the center left largely, because that's who it will have been, those who abandon being lifelong Democrats to vote Trump because they couldn't stand what was going on over there? Are they willing to welcome back in those masses if that requires rejecting the radicals? And we have seen that so far that the answer to that is no. But I think that golden opportunity will present itself in 2028.
I feel like they're going to squander it.
I think probably.
Yeah.
That's really what I feel.
Who's going to squander it?
Well, I just know that they're going to squander it.
That they won't welcome.
Wait, Evan, who's going to squander
the Democratic Party. I don't feel like they're going to be able to recapture people like us, because I see the who they've selected for their leadership. They picked the guy from Minnesota, so that's basically like they're doubling down on Tim Wall's version of masculinity, and then they've got David Hogg, who is this ultra-left activist guy from Florida. And then they've got Malcolm Kenyatta, who was
a bunch of limperous needle dicks.
Right. And Malcolm Kenyatta ran against John Fetterman in the Pennsylvania Democratic primary. And he was the guy that everybody was pushing on the progressive side of the party. So, I don't think that they're going to be able to recapture us anytime soon.
And hold on.
Yeah,
I'm going to say this. I do not think this is. Here's why.
And they don't have a leader. They don't have a leader. Go ahead.
But they ain't got no money.
They have money.
Okay?
That's
true. They ain't got no. They don't have government money.
They can get some donor money.
But to run the campaigns, all they need are like they've got fun. This was my thing. I used to fundraise and actually I will say this to you, Isaiah. No, maybe not them themselves. Like maybe like they're losing some of those government contracts and all that stuff. Yes, but as far as like fundraising, when Trump is in office, Democrats fundraise phenomenally well. And I saw the difference when I was fundraising between the years of 2017 and 2020. The money, it was just coming in. It was like,
you think it's going to be the same this time though, Evan? I feel like it's going to be a little bit, I think Trump's a little bit more popular now and people are a little bit like, I don't know because
people remember what he was.
To be honest, there's a lot of donors that just give to who's ever in power. Like there's donors that just give on both sides equally. And then there are like some truly donors that are just compelled by ideology. Like
crazy cat ladies,
like George Soros, is somebody like he doesn't give to Republicans at all. And there are enough of those types of
Mark
donors.
Cuban or something.
Yeah, those donors exist. Like they're still going to be able to build campaign infrastructure. That's not going to go away. As long as there's a two-party system, the Democratic Party is going to have some audience for money. And especially with Trump back in office, I think fundraising will actually be easier for them.
Do you think, I just want to ask this question. So do you think it's going to be, looking at how they wasted all of that money with Kamala and they went to debt?
They don't care.
Do you think it's going to be as easy to convince some of these mega donors like, hey, just throw us another
these people
10,
are loaded.
20, $30 million? And they're like, well, last time you let that shit on fire in a barrel.
You know why?
You think some of them are going to be like, nah, not this time.
They're going to let her off the hook, and they already have, because she is somebody, they're going to say Kamala Harris only had 3 months to run this race. She only had 3 months to prove herself to the American people. So it completely made sense that she just threw everything at the wall. Like, that's what they're going to say. And that's why they're already keying her up to be the nominee in 2028. Well, because they just don't think she had enough
just switching
time.
to California, though, with her now, right? There's no way they bring her up for president again.
Dude,
I think they
Vance,
could. Yeah.
Donalds, JD Vance.
They are literally retarded if they do that.
Listen, a JD Vance and Byron Donalds ticket will smash any Democrat challenge. I'm telling you right now.
So
hey,
nobody.
I don't know who Byron is. Who is that? I don't even know.
Byron Donalds is a congressman out of Florida. Theo probably knows exactly who he is.
I know.
Yeah, he's pretty fiery, dude. He speaks really, really well. Hey, Evan, I know you got to roll here in a second, so maybe this is a prompt for a future discussion. I hope we can do again sometime. We were talking about whether the plane crash survivors who abandoned lifelong Democrats, how I was saying, I think that opportunity is going to present itself, and will the Democratic Party be able to harbor them in again? The reality is they must offer something different. And to kind of tie a bow on our whole conversation here, what repelled them was the Clay Travis tweet. Or that clip. We got to the point where regular men were done. I don't mean it's all about men. I don't mean it that way. But this anti-male,
it's a huge constituency.
Yeah,
it's half the population.
More importantly, the brand became the rejection of normal men.
Yeah,
so what's interesting is, can the Democratic Party offer a different flavor or brand the next cycle? And that goes back to, can they walk away from this energy and this activism they've been stuck on? And I think that begs the discussion. It's a lot bigger than trans. There's a bigger thing here that the party's got to walk away from.
It is culturally embedded. Like, it's so far deep within the community of the Democratic Party. It runs so deep. I just don't see that being rooted out. And I feel like those people are only going to get louder in an age of Donald Trump. So I think maybe when they finally will be able to figure this stuff out, will be when Donald Trump is out of office. So maybe potentially in 2032. But I think as long as he's in office, they're going to be the crazy activist party enraged by Donald Trump, with TDS, and that's
fighting the fascists.
That's going to be how they operate, and that's the only way they know how to operate.
Well, I'm just gonna say this: they ain't taking over shit with this. With it. You ain't taking over nothing but a fucking dance floor.
Off is a direction you can fuck.
I mean, that was the DNC, you guys. I went to the DNC this year. I was there in August. That was my experience everywhere I went. I felt like I was the only normal person around.
Because that's what you do when there's a wild fascist in the White House. You start doing a dancing in line and
transit up,
singing on stage.
Trans.
Or hold on. Or you could do this. Punk ass Jamie Harrison. So dramatic.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome today.
Off is a direction you can fuck.
We shall overcome.
It's painful, man. The brand is painful. At this point.
Are not, the Democratic Party are not going to take over anything when they're dancing the Cupid shuffle and they're singing Negro spirituals in 2025 outside of a black church.
Right. More
All
importantly, how are you overcoming anything when Billy Porter is your figurehead? What are you overcoming?
Exactly.
Manhood itself?
Hey, Theo, he's a
Holy.
black man and wears a dress. So you show him some respect.
He's a black trans woman. He's actually not. He's right on the cusp there. He hasn't quite crossed the event horizon.
He wears dresses in public. He's brave.
I know. But Mother Mary's a whore, right?
Oh, exactly. Ev, how good are you for...
Oh, I think I got to drop, but hey, you guys, this was really fun. Thank you for having me on. It was amazing to meet you, Theo.
You too.
And,
Nice meeting you.
nice to see you both again. I'm going to drop the Isaiah episode tomorrow.
Nice. I got to listen to that. I'll retweet
it. It's great. It's one
Keep pushing back on madness in the middle of the Death Star, Evan. I'm proud of you. You inspire me, man. You inspire me.
Great to have you back, Evan. We got to have you again.
And listen, you can come back
right on the pod
whenever you like.
Just pop in whenever, like a Seinfeld episode.
Okay, awesome.
You know what's so crazy? I'm in St. Augustine,
Wait.
Florida.
Is she
and
already
she's in
late?
San Francisco. Like,
Is
what
she
if
late?
out of our two walls could not be more different? It's a wild concept. Same country, different planets, man.
I love St. Augustine. It's so beautiful there.
I'd love to see San Francisco. I mean, hey, I love it all, man. But thanks. I appreciate that. I love the city. I write about it a lot. I walk around every morning.
Yeah, I've been there once a long time ago. It was
It's like
very
a living
young.
museum.
I got really drunk there. But,
I've been there.
um,
Yeah. A lot of vomit on the street. All right,
very
cheers. Nice to meet you.
intoxicated. Okay, bye. See you guys.
All right. Much love. Oh my God, that was.
Hey, Isaiah, go to that thread. Unless you were headed somewhere, I put a couple things on that thread that Nick put up.
Oh,
are you able to pull a visual up for me?
Put that in the private chat, or wait.
Yeah, I'll put the thread up. I'll put it in a private
Yeah,
chat.
I wanted to show on our screen here two things while we were talking about. You used such a great quote earlier. You said, sports is the ultimate unifier. And those who have followed my writings know that I've spent a lot of time on this subject. And one of the things on why this leftist attack would want to attack sports so intensely, because the screaming reality is leftist queer plus equity types, they hate sports. Sports is the epitome of meritocracy. It's big, strong men that dominate. So the most don't even play sports. They're radicalized against sports. But yet here's their symbolism all over our sports. Why? Goes back to that capturing the conservative spaces kind of aspect. But the one visual was, those are pictures I took of my own television. I'm in here watching a Pac-12 championship game. I remember Utah was playing. I forget who else was playing. But I'm watching Pac-12. I'm a sports fanatic. And again, kids around and stuff. I wasn't, brainwashing them with this. It was my own game. But they're like, they pan by and I noticed that on a wall. And I'm like, I didn't just see what I saw, did I? And I like hit rewind and go back. Dude, look what is just dropped on the wall at a Pac-12 title game. The communist fist. I mean, there's no wording, nothing. Just we're going to brainwash children and youth and our entire American audience with communism. And then on the next post down, if you could play that on this show tonight, it'd be awesome. That is the NCAA commercial from the year before that I talked about.
Yeah, put that in. Matter of fact,
makes me so angry.
I just put it in the Twitter. Is it the sports is the great unifier thread?
Yeah, right under sports is a great unifier is the Pac-12 fist. But what I really want to show the audience is the NCAA commercial that's in the post.
Did you tag me?
No, I put it in our group.
Let me tag you onto this commercial.
In a private message.
Hold on.
All right.
I'll tag you right now, Isaiah. Boom. Show that commercial, man. That commercial is absolutely mind-boggling.
Find it.
And what's really amazing, look at your notifications. I just tagged you. What's really wild about that commercial, if you watch it, is, I mean, I've watched it a million times, but I recorded that myself off my own television. But
here it is.
What you'll notice about it is obviously it's NCAA. It's all geared around athletics. But what's so fascinating is notice the clips that come in about the social justice activism. They're in black and white. Everything else in the commercial in the clip is color. It is just hardcore brainwashing. I mean, like something you'd see in an Orwell film. It's horrifying. That is the NCAA, bro. What
the fuck is this?
Look at that.
I remember
the Pac-12 title game, dude. The fuck?
Why?
Is that like a Marxist symbol?
It's the communist power fist.
I mean, simply. Now, of course, some people argue, justify. It's crazy. Throw that NCAA on the next post down. Throw that NCAA commercial up. This thing is crazy, man. And it happens fast. So if the audience are watching this, watch this closely because it looks great. It's a fun commercial at first. I was watching it live when this happened and my jaw hit the floor. I could not believe what came up. I'm like, was that real life, man? And I backed it up and rewound or videoed it.
Wow, I'm sorry for that. I did not mean to drop out like that.
Oh.
Oof.
And then what was crazy was,
Wow.
again, I was sitting in my living room with my children, and I was telling them why March Madness meant so much to me, and talking about growing up with my dad, who was a double Hoosier, and the Keith Smart shot, and like
wait. What's a double Hoosier?
What's that? My father.
What's a double Hoosier?
Went to Indiana University for 2 degrees. I grew up in an IU family. We bled red in my family. First sip of alcohol I ever had was in 1987 at the ripe age of 8, when Keith Smart hit the beautiful floater with Ronnie Cycli under the rim, waiting for the rebound, nothing but net by the fold-out chairs. My dad ran around the living room like an absolute maniac. He was popping champagne, and my mom, they were going nuts. And all I remember is, for some reason, somebody offered me a sip, and I nailed it. Indelible lifetime memories, my friend.
That's great. It's sports. It's the power of sports, man.
There you go, bro. Here you go. Watch this. And just be quiet. Just watch how subliminal this is, man. Bone chilling. This is the NCAA.
To them, the whole world looks like an opportunity.
Can you turn it up, Isaiah?
I can't.
Here it comes. Here it comes. Right after, right here.
All right. Okay.
Pow, pow, pow. Crazy. And then right back to sports.
Wow.
I had to play it back 10 times, and then I slow-mode it to look what those images are, and the signs say anti-racism, and then say, if you are not anti-racist, you are complicit. So it ascribes guilt.
I missed it.
It ascribes guilt to you if you're not part of the ideology. And then the next one says silence is violence, man.
Oh, God.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. Okay.
Silence is violence. Act now.
No justice, no peace.
If you're not anti-racist, you are complicit. Telling our population, our youth,
power fist.
You must be part of this movement. Bone chilling.
Yeah.
And it's a queer plus movement. We all know that has nothing to do with anything for black people, because most black people don't hate men. They don't want to disrupt the nuclear family. They don't want to queer children. They don't like radical feminism. None of this beast of equity has anything to do with black people. And yet, like, what is that commercial supposed to be telling? And again, man, the reason I get so hot about this, I was sitting there with my own children. They're 5 and 11. And I'm telling them, like, oh, I love the NCAA and March Madness. And embedded in their brains are communist fists with anti-racism. God, man, I'd fight.
And then NCAA betrays you with that.
Correct.
You know?
And then we wonder why we got a dude who's 6'4" winning the female title, because the same sick fucks are in charge of it all. And we're at the point that, you know, I've been using this term on X, and I hate to get so brash, but it's just needed. The opportunity for us to use a scalpel in this removal passed a long time ago. It will now be a broadsword. It will be wielded by those of us who fought tooth and nail to get here. And you're damn right it's going to cause some collateral damage. I don't give a fuck. I mean, I hate to speak that way, but that is where we are.
Hurt feelings are the least of my fucking worries, man.
Correct.
Exactly.
Oh,
Same
I
here.
feel bad for this one kid in this class. Aren't you worried this change is going to hurt his feelings? No, I'm actually not worried at all.
I'm over. No.
Right. Don't you see him crying in the corner? I'm sorry.
The time for caring about feelings is frankly over.
Right. You weaponize empathy, and then guess what? You're going to get a society that has very little of it.
Right.
It's a fact.
And you know what? To that point,
exhausted.
To that point, I want to share this. It's something else that I came across today, and I shared this. It was one of the greatest pieces I have ever read on X. Hold on, I'm gonna pull this up right now.
It's fun hanging out with you boys. I really like this ability to like post things on X while we're chatting. I'm over on the thread that you posted, Nick, and posting some old threads. And this is a cool format. We'll have to do this again.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Oh,
man.
absolutely. Absolutely.
You got a lot of good shit to share, man.
So this, so hold on. This guy by the name of Vagrant Wires, Vagrant of Roads. I'm going to put this up here. And I'm going to get us out of here. So this says Trump quote. So context: Trump quoted Napoleon in a tweet yesterday.
I didn't know that.
Where he says, "He who saves his country does not violate any law." Now, I don't know I was slightly paying attention to this, but it was funny just watching some of the reactions to this post. Like you had even like conservatives or people who identified as conservative at one point freaking out behind this. So, vagrant of Rhodes writes. Matter of fact, let me just do.
It is a concerning, and I like intellectual honesty no matter what tribe's in power. And I will say, I don't know the context here. It's the first time I've even heard that quote. That's why I laughed. Unless I'm missing context, it's a concerning echo because no, you can't violate the law to save country. Now, of course, we're in a hyper contextual moment, but I can understand why that caused some uproar, man. That's the exact fascist authoritarian energy that they've been branded around for the last decade. Man.
But watch, but see, this is a perfect breakdown of why he did it. Okay, of why Trump posted that. Vagrant of Rhodes writes, Trump quoting Napoleon is a great political Rorschach test. Leftists are legitimately incapable of higher thought and complex spiritual emotions or passions of the blood. Everything they do is a cheap, corporatized facsimile of existence. Even their hatred of us comes from a fake place. We just make them uncomfortable, and they want us to go away, like children plugging their ears and throwing a tantrum. Their bloodlust against us is not that of the warrior, but that of the coward. They don't know what true greatness is, and they cannot feel it or understand it. As a result, they fear all manner of greatness and work tirelessly to suppress it in the general population, including themselves, as it represents a threat to their geriatric gynocratic system. They can't relate to the swell of emotion that a man feels when imagining himself in a cavalry charge to the death. Can't appreciate the soulful last stand of a lost cause. They cannot understand the fire in the blood of man, which is ignited by the love of God, king, and country. They have no respect for people other than themselves. That touched a little bit to what I said about communism being the religion of the self. And seek to make the world entirely like them by flattening human existence via tightly controlling, oppressively bureaucratic systems. They can't understand the romantic side of our nature, which is as close to God as we can be, because it humbles oneself and understanding that we are clay in the hands of our Creator. They see themselves as cosmic accidents and resent the emotions that come with existence in this plane. Trump quoting Napoleon scares them because it proves their system of suppression not only failed, but that it will be brought down by the very thing they hate and fear the most in this world, true human greatness, which is bestowed to men by God. Trump is single-handedly breaking this illusion of the post-world order apart and showing us that we can all be great in our own ways, large and small, from the commander of an empire to a soldier running a message across the battlefield, from the president of the United States to the family sleeping in a tent in their hurricane-ruined home in North Carolina. Greatness is an essential part of the human spirit, and it will no longer be denied. You got to read this whole thing.
Yeah, we should add that too. That's a nice rant.
Yeah, it is.
I'm telling you, I was like, dude, stop what you're doing. Stop what you're doing and read this. That's an amazing piece.
I want to say something real quick to Zay, real quick. I think the one thing that's been bothering me about, like, especially this attack on masculinity, wokeness in general, a lot of the Me Too movement kind of stuff, like, you know, some of it's legit, some of it isn't, right? It's a little too far. It seems to all be, you know, a way to scare people from being great. Like, because like most men have had mistakes in their past life. They said something, they did something wrong, said something wrong. Maybe they're awkward in dating. Maybe they're a little too forward when they're in their teens or 20s, and you know, maybe they got too drunk one night and then they learned from it. So I think most men have done, like, you know, little things that could be, you know, that could be considered like, oh my God, he was too much. or whether it's that or something else. Maybe he made a racial joke once and tweeted it. You know, maybe he made a homophobic joke once and tweeted it, something like that, right? Or he bullied somebody when he was 10 or 12. So you can go back in most men's lives and like look back and see that, and it's like all of this seems to be a way of being like, no, man, like, you know, we know, you know, if you pop your head out and try to do something great, we're gonna find out what you did in the past.
Absolutely.
No matter what it is. And you better just stay the fuck down and duck and don't even think about doing anything great. Don't think about sticking your head out. Don't think about coming out and disagreeing with us openly. Don't even think about it, because
Nick,
we're going to
how
find
about
that,
don't even
that
act
tweet.
masculine? We called it toxic. I mean, you're so right, dude.
Everything. And again, that's part of that flattening.
It's a common thread through this stuff.
That's part of that flattening. They flattened manhood. They flattened our ability to simply be men. Think about it. The way that
and our society needs men to be successful and to fight against other countries who might be trying to come for the crown, man, come for our throats.
Hold on, I get to use a timeout. Because I was going to read a passage.
Oh no, yeah, I'm not going in. Go ahead.
No, I didn't mean it that way. I want to interject this passage into what you just said, because the prompt you just gave there, Nick, was so perfect for this passage I wanted to read you guys. You said, we need men to be men for a society to function properly, right?
Absolutely.
With that in mind,
and women need that too.
Yes. With that in mind, let me read this to you.
Our children need it.
During this moment is when I first slowed down a bit. It's also when I was having these thoughts I'm sharing about lions. There was one man in particular who stood out to me as we were gathered around the deacon. I guess I had kind of sized up who all I'm with. He was a huge man, burly. He looked like a former biker. His eyes had wild but restrained fire. They were flashing everywhere. I mean, I'm not sure he heard any of the deacon's info. His mind was on full patrol. It was glancing right down by the bridge, back up left to the college area. It darted at every noise, scanned everyone who approached. Nobody asked this dude to post up. Nobody had to. His body sensed emergency, and that becomes duty. I guarantee you, if that maniac had surfaced, Big Boy would have been the first person on them. If they drew a knife, he would not have cared. If they drew a gun, I'm still certain the strategy would not have been surrender. Nobody was getting to those children inside by this point. Not because of law enforcement, although they were nearby too, but because of citizens. Because our country is one of lions. It's how we got here. That's who built this magnificent place. Pioneers oozing of strength. Similarly to this micro situation, that type of man would be the first line of defense if his nation was under threat, or a state or county or community or block or neighbor. That's what these molds do. Honestly, his posture was so intense at that moment that I wouldn't be surprised if he served or was a former cop. But this energy I'm touching on isn't about that. Those are professions that take lions and train them, turn them into very important societal tools. There is an irony here, and that's part of why I wrote this. The type of man I am describing meets almost every one of the categories our matriarchal progress guard has spent decades painting as wrong and trying to whittle and weed out as abhorrent. He didn't dress very nice and doesn't appear to follow a lot of rules. I bet he swears a lot and drinks beer. He was as white as they come, kind of orangey hair and lots of tats. Probably used some foul misogynistic language in his time. Might still today. None of that fucking matters. It doesn't matter one iota in the context I've spent the last half hour describing. When real shit hit the fan, when actions and behaviors were needed, not hashtags and scholarly articles. I wrote a long thread recently about this energy rearing its head when Hurricane Milton came through here a couple weeks ago. You see big, strong-ass men gearing up to go to work in the storm as the rest of society hunkers down in shelters, myself included. Most probably don't even have Twitter accounts. Meanwhile, we have FEMA leadership melting down about how emergency management needs to include their queer plus fantasies and unicorns, needs a federal agency to function as his father. I'm sorry, their father, because they have multiple gender spirits at FEMA. We have fucking progress flags on fire trucks. That's an essay that I wrote on my Substack that's titled Lions in a Great Time of Need. And it was a morning where I was at a children's mass, and a priest got stabbed down the block by a fucking leftist maniac, black woman, who walked up to him while he was having coffee.
Black woman? Holy shit.
And said, young black woman, looks absolutely crazy, queer plus maniac, walked up to him in priest clothes on St. Augustine in Old Town, This was 6 months ago, and said, "Are you a priest?" He answered yes, and she plunged a knife into his chest. He almost died.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was in. Didn't make the news, of course, because it's not the right type of hatred, right? Go back to repressive tolerance and Hatecraft. People walking up and saying, "Are you?" This is critical Christ theory, attacking priests on the streets of St. Augustine. And I was actually in a children's mass private ceremony when it went down, and we were in a lockdown. At first, we didn't know what was going on. The rumor was one of our own priests had been stabbed, and that whole article is sort of a first-person account of how that all went down. And I thought that one piece was really important. I wrote that was my first person impressions. And this guy that was there, I never saw him before this or after that, but he was such a powerful, and I just thought like symbolic figure. And it's back to your point, Nick, like we need those men to have a strong country. And you're damn right. They don't follow all the rules of social order.
They're not perfect.
Make in places like UCLA and Columbia and fucking Amherst. You know what I mean? That guy doesn't want to be in Amherst. He wants to be at a bar.
I have another piece of evidence as to why we need real men. So going back to our little gender thing, and yes, I am doing this to make someone famous, because we're not going to do this. This person decided to come after Evan right after during her appearance on here. So here's what we're going to do. Say, this piece of shit who voted for Trump is trying to pretend she cares about the people Trump's policies are now hurting. Fuck you, Evan. You did this. Check us out. Check us out, homeboy. And it says Langley, Virginia. So I'm guessing you might be a glowy. I don't know. But back off. We're not doing this anymore.
Yeah, that shit is so funny.
We're not doing this shit anymore. Okay?
Keyboard warriors.
We're not. You fucking keyboard warriors better leave these women alone. All you're doing is proving exactly why they are leaving the Democratic Party in droves. That is why we are leaving you freaks in the dust.
Cowards, man.
And you're fucking cowards.
Fucking cowards. You're calling a woman a piece of shit online because she just disagrees with you, and she switched from the Democrat Party.
None of these people
Shut your
would
mouth.
dare. You wouldn't dare step to a real man like that.
Smack upside the head.
You wouldn't dare step to anybody like that.
That's a huge part of our moment. Yeah, that's a huge part of our moment.
Of this.
What a fucking
keyboard warriors.
These assholes. That's what these people have done.
Right.
They will go after women. They go after women almost exclusively, and then as soon as a real man shows up, what do? They either call the cops, or they try to create a scene.
Try to cancel you or something.
They try to cancel you. They
record
your job. They try to make you. Yeah, they tried all of that stuff.
Right. And how?
And I did that for a reason. And that reason is this: real men need to step up and stop fucking around with these people.
Right.
Stop fucking around with them.
Yeah. It's
enough already.
It's where we've landed by allowing that repressive tolerance and that hatecraft to capture and consume so much. I hate to keep dropping my own pieces here. I don't mean it that way, but I just write about these topics a lot. One of the other recent essays I wrote recently on Substack, I'm going to start a whole series on it, but part
Sorry
one.
for yelling, by the way.
No, I love it. I love your fire, man. Was called the anti-bullying.
Get that energy out.
Anti-bullying. Yeah, absolutely. It's called the anti-bullying campaign. And I think one of the most important things for us to focus in on when you look at these dismantling attacks, these inversion, this cultural revolution, if you will, when Nick, when you phrased very well earlier about us needing these roles, these men, this masculinity, this lion breed, right? Like I referred to in my piece in Society. If you think about what the entire notion of anti-bullying ultimately did, I don't give a shit what it was sold as, because it's the same safety thrust as always. We must queer the world, otherwise this won't be safe. Whatever. Set this nonsense pretextual crap aside. And if you actually look at what anti-bullying meant the erasure, the castration of the lions. Because guess what? The lion breeds, and you see them all the way down in grade school. They roar, man. And yes, they regulate social behaviors in locker rooms. And that essay is themed around a fact pattern in, of course, Denver, Colorado, super progress, where some trans girl, which is just some dude, and I'm sure it's a fringe type, queer plus set, right? So it's going to be your outcast who wasn't able to have power any other way in that school. He's being allowed to change in the girls' locker room. And it went further to say that he kept lotion in there and was putting lotion on his junk, saying he needed it for chafing or some shit. And what I wrote about on this article, because in all honesty, Isaiah, that story got me as angry as you just got a moment ago talking about it. I get legitimately hot about this stuff. I have a daughter, by the way. So I sort of picture my daughter in that locker room and think, oh my God, I'd go beat the shit out of that kid. And what this essay was about is that the anti-bullying campaign, which was driven from the top down, side note, by Frankenfemmes, uniformly and only smash the patriarchy Frankenfemmes, was all about, oh, we got to make the school safe, right? Nobody likes bullying, just like nobody likes racism or not ending hate and saving the earth. So it's like, well, of course we don't want bullying in our schools, but what did that really end up being? And I talk in that essay about how the dudes I knew in high school, and I'm not trying to sell myself as tough. I say that point blank in that essay. I'm a skinny dude. I'm 165 soaking wet. The dudes that I rolled with would have solved that problem in the locker room. And not just my boys, but the gangster dudes from a Latino, we had like Latin Kings and shit. Those dudes would have solved the problem. The jocks, they would have solved that problem. Like any one of the social groups I know, their dudes, their lions would have solved that problem. If word got out that a dude was masturbating in front of chicks in the locker room, dudes would have whooped his ass in that locker room.
Exactly.
And anti-bullying got it to a point where the administration is on the side of that warped fringe queer plus boy saying, no, it's really a girl. You need to all do it. He's going to get harmed. And then those boys are being castrated throughout the whole school so that they can't speak up. That was what the anti-bullying campaign did. And when you trace back its roots and realize it's the same roots as Kevin Jennings and Gilson, Glsen, Obama's beloved child through the schools, when you trace all this shit back, man, you realize it's the same power brokers doing the same shit, right? Anti-bullying is something we really need to focus in on.
We do. And
I want bullies.
Well, again, and also what needs to stop is, and I'll tell you who actually had a very good rant about it, was Steven Crowder. Steven Crowder said that the equivocating of there are different forms of force, like violence, right? There's some things that when it comes to stopping people from harming someone, is like that's normal, it's acceptable, okay? And that unfortunately has not happened. There's been this flattening, like any form of physical force is off limits.
Yes.
And it's not right. Because what happens is the guy who defends a woman from if a guy sees a woman being attacked and another guy and goes over and deals with that guy, right? And pulls him off, like in school, that person who pulled off the person who intervened will sometimes get in more trouble than if they had just let the thing happen. We had an example of that with Daniel Penny.
Yeah.
They were ready to L-word Daniel Penny. The New York City judicial system was ready to L-word that man. And thank God it didn't happen. Thank God that
what's L-word?
Yes.
Lynch.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, to add on to that,
I don't know if you can say that on YouTube.
That's true. I forget about censorship.
Oh, my bad. I didn't realize that.
One of my a guy in my scout pack, I got my son involved in scouts because he just doesn't do enough and it's good for him. But I was chatting with one of the guys in there just this week, and he said that he was a teacher in New York. He got out of teaching, and he told me this story point blank. We weren't in this vein of discussion. That what ultimately drove him out of teaching was a policy they initiated that he was not allowed to intervene in a fight. That was a black and white policy. If a fight occurred, student fight, he was not allowed to physically intervene. And this is an older man now. He looked me right in the face and he's like, you mean to tell me I'm supposed to let some child get beat up right in front of me? I'm not doing that.
Too.
And I thought to myself, I agree. I'm not doing that either.
Yeah.
because I'm a lion. And that's not, I don't mean I'm tough. I mean that I uphold certain standards for our society, for my family, for my children, for my wife, for my neighbors, for my parents, for this country, right? I mean, it's crazy, man. And that's honestly one of the, I write about this a lot, how culturally different it is here in Florida. There was a story that made our local news. It was actually down in South Florida, but it made local news all over the place about these couple typical Florida man, who beat the shit out of a guy who was abusing a dog at a park. Okay. And it was actually reported on our local news in a positive way. You know, Florida man beats a shit out of scumbag at park, abusing animal. And I remember thinking to myself, like, that is so representative of the culture down here. I want you to get your ass kicked if you're abusing an animal in the middle of a park, or a child, or a woman, or if you're shoplifting. You know, I saw a bunch of cops in Jacksonville Beach roll up like 6 SUVs deep with guns drawn on this older black couple who were coming out of a store with bags of shit. They were obviously like serial shoplifters. And I went and posted on Twitter about it in kind of a beating my chest way, like, we don't fuck around down in Florida. Don't do that California shoplifting shit down here in the Sunshine State. And a whole bunch of people, not a whole bunch, but 3 or 4 people I respect, pounced on me for that. And they were like, dude, what kind of dystopia do you want to live in? Like, what type of environment you want to live in where people are rolling with guns drawn because someone just stealing, right? It's always minimized because it's just stealing. I remember thinking to myself, like, I specifically want to live in the society where it is not okay to just go steal shit from stores. Like, have you seen the stores in California where they can't even leave the goods out anymore because the scumbags are allowed to just come steal the stuff? Right. And I'm the type of guy that if I saw you doing something wrong to a shop owner, there's a decent chance I might say something. Like, I intervene in life all the time, dude. I did it not that long ago in a bounce house line. Some dad comes up and just like gets in front of a bounce house line that we've all been waiting on forever. And even here in Florida, all the sheep in the line didn't say shit. They're all just going to let dude push his kid up on the bounce house. Well, absolutely fucking not. So I walked my ass from midline all the way up front and was like, dude, you saw the line, right? And he looked at me like I was an alien. I was like, we've been waiting here for 30 minutes, pal. Like, you can get your kid to the back. It was awkward and ugly. And some people looked at me like I was a maniac. But like, why are we not upholding this standard? No, you little runt. You don't get to just cut in front of the line. But, you know, I don't mean to get so hot. The point is, it's like broken windows policing. When we stop caring about these little things culturally, then everything goes to shit. Hello, California, right?
Well, in New Zealand, very well said. In New Zealand, looks like there actually is some pushback. And by some real men. Take a look at this. I don't know if you've seen this.
No, but I like pushback by real men.
Oh, yeah. You'll love this. Check it out. What do we do?
Dude, that is incredible. Holy
it's a haka,
shit.
Right?
Yeah.
The whole haka, yeah.
Dude, I never thought about that as I mean, I hate to like have to stoop to the level, but I've never thought of the idea of just a straight up masculine, symbolic, physical response.
That's a battle.
Weird shit.
That's a what do you call it? A battle display, basically, of these people.
Totally.
Like, they're like, we're going to go to war, with you.
Yeah. And it reveals the cultural insanity of this all, because who's on the other street? A bunch of Rainbow Guard softies. Look at like you don't, I don't want to say you don't have to like that, because the reality is that's a pretty culturally awesome moment, that dance. But if you
I would
just
learn
look,
how to do that myself, and I'm a
nice.
fat
I would
old
love to
guy
see you.
from
No
Baltimore.
shirt on when you
Fuck
do
outta
it for
here,
me,
bro.
Isaiah. But I want to see you haka at some point in my life. Absolutely, be a life checker. But just think about the display of warrior energy that's being presented there, and I guarantee you, the on the other side of that chessboard at the Pride group, there is hardly an ounce of masculinity. On that other side, you could almost feel it coming through the screen. That's a powerful symbolic dichotomy there, dude. I like that a lot.
And the funny thing about it too, I put on X, I was like, this is one of those woke conundrums, right? Where it's like you got the brown indigenous people from New Zealand versus, and you got to let them speak, uplift brown voices, right? Indigenous
All
voices,
white Rainbow Guard
versus the gender cult, right? So who do you pick?
Wow.
Who's the woke pick here?
That's shocking. That was a really good clip, man. That was powerful. They had shirts
I've
on
got
too
another.
that said like man up moment or something. Like they're obviously doing that in response to Pride events. I think that's really cool. They're selling the essence of manhood in that culture. If you are a lion breed in that culture, you do the haka, man.
And here's another one from these same people. Check it out.
You guys don't let inside the building? You're not able to bring the signs in? You're welcome to come in with you. Thank you.
Sorry, you're not being private event. It's a private event. This is a public event.
No, it doesn't sound like a private event. They're not like a ticketed event. You have tickets, so you're not welcome to go.
Look at that big bastard.
You're not. It's a private event.
That's the way we're on.
We always came here on a peaceful protest. We came out to share what we believe society needs, which is the removal of craziness, the craziness of multiple genders. There is only two genders. There's no procreation without it. We came to talk about that, but we were actually greeted in the public square with hostility. A couple of our guys have bruises on his forehead, cuts on his arms. When I said to the police, who eventually turned up, that the rainbow community that talks about being inclusive and loving, the disgusting words, spitting, physically pushing and grabbing, handling us. Poor dude's a guy, but he's confused. So I'm saying, hey, that guy. He's like, what guy? So, that guy bloody touched us. That guy's been pushing us. That guy, and the police would do nothing. Actually, I asked to put in a complaint, a physical harm complaint, and they refused to obtain the details of that person or the persons. There were actually young females also who were trying to harm the men, and obviously we're not going to touch them. But if they get in the way of a community space, we want to get access, and that's what we did. Peacefully, we tried to walk through, and they came at us with force. So it was unfortunate to go into to be greeted by that, the rainbow community, the inclusive community, the loving community. It's not loving. It wasn't inclusive.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that country's gonna erupt, man. So are some in Europe. That's a level of waves crashing that ain't gonna end well.
No, it can't. I mean,
no, it can't.
I look at it this way. When you have something that is so blatantly misanthropic, something that is anti-nature, as the gender cult, Okay, when you have something that is so totalitarian, again, I asked the question again. If this was so natural, if this is something that is so necessary for human happiness, if this is something that was always here, why the top-down enforcement?
And why do you got to do it? Indoctrinate kids at a freaking kindergarten, preschool,
Why,
or why is it? Why can't maybe just wait a little bit?
Yeah.
You
Why
know?
do we have children? And why are you trying to dance in front of children? No one seems to understand that. No one seems
because the
even
movement
answer.
requires the social contagion. Because the movement requires the social contagion. You know, Michael Knowles spoke so well in those clips, and one of the when he said these are the reasons I'm against gender ideology, as well as I've ever heard anybody just break it down, particularly live. But one of the main reasons he said it is allowing the proliferation of this causes it to increase. That is the very definition of social contagion. And if you remember, we were under system-wide propaganda, Hatecraft, hello, always, that there was no social contagion, which is just bizarre, asking us to deny our own eyes. And in fact, it was hate if you said there was a social contagion, because you were denying the reality of trans. You weren't allowing it to exist. When you analyze this shit over and over, like I know all three of us do, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, it all becomes so simplistic, at least to me. Like I lay these tools on the table, and my God, man, it is all so elementary. And that aspect of it really frustrates me, because the amount of land it was able to take in our country, pretty much the whole damn thing, is shocking, because none of these tools on this table are impressive. I laugh at them. I swat them.
Yeah, dude, it's when people see these guys doing this haka, right, or us talking about it, or talking in against the gender stuff, it's like they look at us, they look at these guys as like they're just so filled with hate, and they just want to crush any poor trans confused person. And it's like it's not about that at all, man. Like I don't hate trans people or people who are confused. A lot of these people are mentally ill. A lot of these people are cluster B. A lot of these people are autism. Yes. They get depression, like they're young kids that get pushed into it. And if they're a grown person, they're an adult, and they feel that this is the best choice, and they really want to do it. It's a free country, man. Like I don't hate you at all. It's about protecting children, man, first and foremost, and women, right? Women's spaces, women's sports, but children the most for me. It's like you, of course, you're going to, if you have a kindergarten teacher, first grade teacher, second grade teacher, or a woke counselor or whatever, and they're coming to the class, they got all the flags up, all the different pink weird flags. Nothing against the gay people or the gay flag. I'm talking about like the trans flags and stuff. And they're talking about it like all year round. This one, I know somebody who works with a trans teacher. It's like this big guy who's like a trans woman. It's like, you think they're not bringing this shit up all the time? You see how obsessed they were in the council meeting? You think
how do they even introduce themselves without bringing it up?
Right. They probably talk about it like once a day at least.
Absolutely.
Right?
And yet they couldn't talk about the principles of Christianity in there. That got removed from the public school, which I'm not saying we need it back.
How do you like that?
So you think there's there's going to be at least one kid probably per classroom in that classroom who's going to be like, you know what? I think I'm probably trans now. And if you didn't have that teacher or that counselor, that person would have never fucking considered it. If you didn't push this down everybody's throats, they wouldn't consider it. And what is it? It's not, and so it's not just like, so what's the big deal? He's just gonna wear a dress. No, it's not that he's gonna wear a dress. He's gonna freaking castrate himself. He's gonna mutilate, sterilize themselves. Like, this is what it leads to usually.
Right. It's objectively wrong.
That's disgusting. It's disgusting. Yeah, just like genital mutilation in Africa is terrible and disgusting. Why is this not disgusting and terrible? You think it's okay to just take away people's ability to have children? Like, that's cool.
It's the Drake meme. Genital mutilation for this ideology. Oh man, awful. Genital mutilation for this show. Oh yeah. Exactly.
It's frustrating because this should be so clear. This should be so clear to everybody.
It should be. So when there was something I was going to move to, this last thing that I want to talk about, and it's this kind of ties into something that I was trying to explain to Evan. I was trying to respond to her when she said this. And the question was, do we do the is there going to be a resurgence of wokeness with this second term of Donald Trump? I don't think so, and the reason why is because they don't have no money. They don't have any money because USAID, as a lot of us, if you've been following along, USAID was funding nearly every LGBTQIA stance that you could think of, along with some other things. And now that that infinite money print is gone, now you're going to see a lot of stuff drying up. See, right now, there are a lot of people in DC who are scared to death, and they should be scared to death. And as such, remember what we said in what Vagrant, what Vagrant of Rhodes said, that everything. Hold on, I'm trying to find it now. Their bloodlust against us is not that of the warrior, but of the coward. I want to show you what cowardice. I want to show you how cowardice has begun to manifest itself in this case. It just became there are a lot of people in the what we call the DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia, who are selling their houses. If you look on, matter of fact, I'll find it, but I wanted to share this in particular. This ex-user, hold on, I'm going back. Stop saying so much. Rogue Lou Lauren says, I'm feeling spunky. Let's see who's selling houses in DC. Number 1, Voter Participation Center, Deputy Director of Mail Programs and World Bank Consultant.
Okay.
In 14th Street Southeast. I know this neighborhood. 2 beds, 3 baths, $835,000. Another one, Kiplinger, Washington Editors Associate Publisher and freelance writer, and a music composer from Mexico, offloading a very nice house in Northwest.
Does journalism pay that much anymore?
I know, right? That
guy's music composition.
Imagine that. A secretary on Capitol Hill and the White House, owner of Waterways Council, opposed to Regulation Extension Incorporated, an 8-bedroom, 13 bath mansion, $23,500,000. International business consultant for internet governance and digital policy, research intern for Center of American Progress, Buckley LLP associate, a nice house, a nice house in Northwest DC, $575,000. The list goes on and on. Okay, the list goes on and on. It is. It's a bad time right now. Bad time in DC to be a corrupt bureaucrat or to be somebody who was reliant upon the government, upon USAID. And I'm telling you right now, the reason why I bring all that here is because, remember, the theme of this evening has been the same thing. It is no surprise. It does not surprise me that as the power structure, as the power in DC decentralizes, it makes total sense that the rats would be leaving the fucking street.
I hadn't thought of that. I thought we were just bashing their wealth, but they're all bailing.
They're bailing. Those are houses for sale.
Do you have the graphic? Do you have the graphic, Isaiah, of the whole map? Because that's,
let me find it.
If that's real,
I know I tweeted that out. That is real. It is very real.
Houses. Like I think in the graphic there's like 100 or something.
Wow,
or something like that. Like there's a lot. There's quite a bit. Just on sale all of a sudden. Like some people are saying, "Oh no, that's normal." It's like I don't know if that's normal, man. Pretty sure that's not normal.
I'm trying to find it right now because I know.
I've been on Zillow before recently, and I didn't see like just 100 freaking houses for sale in like a little section. But yeah, it's clearly, I mean, the grift is over. The future's looking dim for these people, and they better figure out a new way to market themselves, because they're not going to be able to live like parasites off of our tax dollars.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting
at least
to see
for the
how
next
this
4 years.
It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out, because obviously the USAID hit was huge and what that revealed, but it's only like a tiny thrust and a much greater thing. But the level of circling wagons around that to even prevent us from seeing under this hood is truly shocking. And it's quite clear. I mean, we've all said this forever. Whatever's running the Truman Show isn't going away. I mean, these are the most powerful people in the world. I still don't understand who's behind those curtains. I think that's like way above my pay grade. I don't care. I focus on the stuff I feel like is malleable to me. But it's like, I don't know, man. I agree with you, by the way, Nick. I do feel like we're in the cusp of significant change. I spoke with a man in Croatia last week, and they're going through the exact same shit that we are. And they're watching America very closely. And in fact, our rapid changes here are having big change over there, because for the first time, they're able to see that progress, they're under the same progress propaganda, isn't just inherently true and everything else disinformation and end of democracy and all that shit, right? He used the term revolution. He said, what is happening in America is a form of revolution by the people that you do not see very often. And I agree with him. So I think we're on the cusp of something truly revolutionary happening, but I'm not 100% sure we win yet, Nick. I know that sounds crazy, but I feel like the level of resources on the other side are so gargantuan that I don't know, dude. I don't know.
I agree. No, they're always going to be a threat. I think they're going to look. First of all, you have, like you said, you have a lot of wealth there, and I do think there's a possibility, like I don't know if it's WEF type people or whatever, who maybe like I like to think about like, who is pulling the strings in the background, and it makes me think it's probably the very wealthy, very powerful, who think that they can collectivize everybody, own all of the property, own all the resources, just get themselves much more wealthier, much more powerful. And maybe they think that they're going to help out people by doing that, but really, what do you do when you're that rich and powerful? And that's like your whole life is just accumulating more wealth, more power. You probably just want to make sure you structure yourself to be like the top most, closer to the most powerful person, or top 5. If you're top 20, I want to be top 15. I want to be top 10. That seems like it's human nature especially for people like this. So yeah, I don't think they're done yet. I think they do a lot of this stuff like to divide us really and get us fighting over each other, like this crazy gender shit. They own the media, so the media puts out these stories and runs with it. They own the universities, or they fund the universities, and they're indoctrinating. It's all about like getting us to fight each other, because if we all were focused on like, oh, who is this person who's doing this? Like that person, I don't know, like that person might be strung up in the town square.
Right. Very well said.
So
one of the biggest.
But yeah, just real quick to put a bow on it. I don't think we can't be sitting here thinking we won, because these guys are going to come back, and not just them, but all the foot soldiers. Like this is serious. This is like their religion. Like trans stuff. It's like it's their cult. The race people, the people who are just like the anti-racist and stuff. That's their religion. That's their grift. They're not going to give it up so easily.
Well, I don't know about that, because the grift. This is where all the grift was coming from.
Wow.
Still got the universities though, Isaiah, and like in the California, New York, Chicago.
Wow, look at those high-end arms all going. That is mind-blowing, man.
Look at all this.
Yeah, right. I told you it's a lot, man.
They're all mills too. Wow.
Lobbyists.
And this is the wider DC metro area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Time to get the F out of Dodge, huh? New sheriff in town.
This is what I was saying. This is what I was trying to explain. This is what I was trying to say to Evan earlier, was that they're jumping ship.
Yeah.
They're jumping ship. Like this is you don't panic sell like this unless you were scared to death that you're that you're about to go to prison. Okay. There's a reason why, or lose your job. There is a reason. There is a damn good reason why Kash Patel, why his confirmation's been getting held up and delayed, because they know that he's the final piece. Once he becomes FBI director, and he will be confirmed, but once he gets in, remember, they're the cops. You can have all the Pam Bondis in the world. You can have all the Pam Bondis you want. But if you don't have the cops to go and pick these people up, what are you going to do? So like I said, the rats are jumping ship. This is it's panic time for these people. It's panic time. And like I said, as it should be, because these people have been living fucking fat off of our. Please understand, ladies and gentlemen, your tax money paid for those houses.
Mm-hmm.
Your tax money, my tax money, Gnosis tax money, Theo's tax money was paying. We're paying for them houses.
That pisses me off personally. How about you guys? These
people been living fat. I'm in DC frequently. Okay. Growing up in Baltimore, it was, DC's right down the street. DC been on a rise for a very, very long time. And in some places, it's more expensive to live in DC than it is up here in New York City. Can you imagine that?
Isn't that area like around the capital? Isn't that like the wealthiest like area? I think.
Yeah, I grew up in metro area.
I thought I heard that recently.
Virginia.
I might be wrong, but I thought I heard that recently. Like it's like the most accumulation of wealth is in that area. Like compared to any other area. That doesn't surprise me.
Because if you think about the whole metro area, you got the whole Maryland side, you got the Virginia sides. Yeah, I mean, there's
a lot of lobbyists, a lot of money.
Montgomery County. Well, understand Montgomery County and the whole DC suburbs, right? Like in Montgomery County alone, there's the area of Rockville, Chevy Chase, Germantown, like all those areas, right? And then you have, and then you like Chevy Chase puts you right down, like right at Northwest DC. So you're in Georgetown at that point, right? So then in Prince George's County, which is the richest county of black people, right? The highest concentration, like the highest earners within the black community live in Prince George's County. Most of that wealth is off of like the federal employees.
Yeah. What's fast?
I'm seeing different. I'm not seeing DC. I looked it up on I'm seeing like, New York County, Marin County, so California Bay Area, New York City. So yeah, that might, but I could swear I heard that somewhere that this was like, maybe it's like a certain area. It's like per capita or whatever in a certain area. But there's a lot of wealth.
Yeah, but what, and then if we laid a map down, this is a mind-boggling thing that again goes back to the notion of the same thing. If we laid a map down of where this hyper concentration of wealth is in the metro area around DC and the suburbs of Maryland and Virginia, and then we laid a second map down of which schools, counties lost their mind the most to woke capture, they'd be identical maps. It's Fairfax, Loudoun, Montgomery. You just said another one, Isaiah, on the Maryland side. Those are literally the counties that went the craziest with woke queer plus capture and all that shit, because there's a direct connection between this progress money, and not just progress money, but money in general, man. If you go into these hyper concentration of wealth areas, what do you see? You see a deterioration and a detachment from our core values, from the things that root down most of our families. Everybody starts chasing the materialism, the progress dreams. Dude, you go into our cities around Christmas, like New York City, you don't see God anymore at Christmas. It's not Christmas, it's Christless. I wrote a whole essay about that. Like it's about Macy's windows and shit. The Church of Latter-day Saints 2 years ago paid for a all the way around in Times Square video presentation of the actual story of Christmas, the birth of Jesus, to be played. And the smiling faces and the energy on the streets of Manhattan was so beautiful. I thought it was really cool what they pulled off. And a year later, it inspired that essay I wrote called What is Christmas? And I don't know, man, it's shocking the lack of moorings in our metropolitan areas as opposed to the tradition and the cultures in our rural areas. And we have to start asking ourselves why that is. I was driving out in the deep land around here in St. Augustine, out in horse country. And this is wealth, man. This is not rural poverty. These are estates, manors. and they're Trump flags everywhere, right? So it's not just a matter of wealth. What is it? There's an important story here, and we're just not talking about it in America.
Well, I appreciate you guys have been fantastic to hang out with tonight. This has been a great show. This has been a great show.
Yeah, it was fun.
You got anything that you're working on at present, Theo?
Yeah, I appreciate you giving me a second to plug myself. So I never answered the question on how I got started on this. And in all honesty, as cheesy as this is going to sound, during the craziness of 2020, when I saw that gap between reality and Truman Show, I saw a dad show up at a protest and he was holding a sign. This was a lockdown protest against COVID measures. And he had a sign handwritten in ink. It looked terrible. And it said, I had to be able to tell my kids I did something. And as cheesy as it sounds, motivated the hell out of me. And I thought, I have to be able to tell my kids I did something. And I started just posting feverishly. And I never had any intention. I never want to be part of social media at all. I never had any intention on this becoming anything bigger than, man, I got to go help push back against this information capture. Well, to tie it back to your question of what am I up to now, something happened in my life in the last 4 or 5 years. And between meeting amazing people like you guys and this sort of Rolodex or web, I like to call it our brain trust that's formed on Twitter. It's an incredible amount of intellectual resources. Then something more personal has happened. I become friends with a lot of these people. Nick, I hope to get to know you better. Isaiah, I consider you a friend now well off these computer screens. And then I've, as arrogant as this will sound, and I don't mean it that way, but through just thrusting my thoughts into the intellectual space at a global level, I've come to realize that my thoughts can compete at a global level. And that's a very empowering feeling that kind of hit at a sense of midlife crisis for me, not in a negative way, just sort of a sense of wanting to do more. So the point of that whole ramble is I've been stretched too thin. I feel driven with a sense of purpose and drive like I've never had before in my life, not even close in this work that I do as Theo. My real name is not Theo. I still write in a pen name because I'm worried about the impact of this all on my real work, which is running my own law firm as a lawyer. And I don't have the sense of purpose and passion over there that I do in this anymore. I wake up in the morning and I spend my first 2 or 3 hours of every day walking the streets of St. Augustine, tweeting, writing essays, living as this. And then I go back to the world that pays my bills. And I'm doing too much on both sides, and both sides are losing. So around last year, I realized it's the wrong way to say it. I can't achieve what I'm capable of in either side if I've got a foot in both pools. So around midpoint of last year, I decided that it was a shit or get off the pot moment for me. I either need to figure out a way to do this full time because I think I've found my calling in life, or I probably need to shut this shit down, chalk it up as an amazing run. I helped push it back. I literally feel like I did something back to that sign. So it's like, I feel like I checked the box, stay friends with good people like you guys, and get back to my life before this all. I don't want to do that because I really feel like I'm being called almost, and I don't do gods and spirits. So it's weird to feel like I've got a destiny now. So the point of that all is I've been doing work on my Substack, theojordan.substack.com. As always, my mission is pushing back Truman Show capture. So I'm not going to wall off my writings, my work, but I'm creating a sidecar of audio projects like these called conversations, roundtable conversations, where I'm reaching out to this Rolodex, this brain trust, and having conversations like we are tonight. Some individual audio projects like unscripted and storytelling, which is just me on a mic. And then I just launched theojordan.net last month, where I'm hoping to finally have my own sandbox where I can present all these various thoughts and wares I've kind of created and get it all in one place where I can sort of bring my own audience and have a better way to present it. And the point of that all is if I can get a certain number of people joining the paywall, then I already have the plans in place. I'm going to move to my suite next door, do content full-time, law on the side. But I don't want to go sell this hardcore and just paywall off my stuff. It's too against my nature, too counter to my whole purpose of this all. So I'm kind of building this plan. I'm hoping to get to that number. If I do, I'm really excited about the content I could create doing this full time with the team. If I don't get there, it's not the end of the world. I refuse to whore myself out. So if you want to check out my stuff, go to theojordan.net, look around, look at the read section, the audio section. And if you want to help me reach my dreams, man, I'm looking for a certain number of paid subs, and I would love to be able to do this as my full-time job. So there's my pitch, Isaiah.
Oh, you know what, my brother, I really appreciate you coming on here. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate all of you for joining us here. We have 5,000 80 people who have joined us.
Wow. I've been wondering that the whole time. What was the number?
That is insane.
Thanks for all who came.
This is actually the biggest show that we've had so far, and I greatly appreciate it. Theo, thank you so much for joining us. Nick, you got anything you working on, brother?
Working with you, brother. So making the dream come true. Apostate Radio, keeping it going. Nice start.
Yes.
Great guests. Theo, definitely appreciate you, man, coming on. You know, you got a lot of great ideas, a lot of great ways of looking at the world and what's going on. So you've been an important voice. So I wish you all the success, and we're definitely going to have you on again. And you know, if you want to have us on something, let us know. And
awesome.
But yeah, it's been a real pleasure talking to you, man. You gotta. I appreciate you putting your ideas out there and fighting this. Like I feel like I've been trying to do for years, and Isaiah's been doing, because it's important. Because like we can't seed ground to this. You know, society destroying, youth destroying, America destroying, West destroying ideology. You can't.
Yeah. And what's really cool is this pushback, this grassroots movement, which the three of us are part of. I don't mean big names or getting paid millions in this. It's also pure and organic. Like I've known some of you guys now for years. Like I remember the first time Isaiah and I hooked up on a microphone. It wasn't like talking to a stranger at some interview. It was like hanging out with my boy. It was like he showed up at the front door. And honestly, Nick, you and I don't even know each other super well through the digital space. We've kind of interacted off and on throughout the years, but same sense. I felt like I was hanging out with a guy that I've known a long time tonight. And I think that's a very important note for us to touch on. The reality is we do all know each other. Like I know you better than you could realize, Nick, because I've been playing with your intellectual ideas now for what, a half of a decade? And you've been playing with mine. So we're not meeting each other for the first time. Right. And I think when you cast that out in the aggregate at the population level, that is why this is happening in our country. That's why we overcame what I believe was election fraud and was propaganda against us, causing a artificial voting number. And yet we were able to swell that and overcome. So I love meeting guys like you. Nick, I had like two different things I wanted to ask you tonight. One in particular, just a good discussion point, but I didn't want to interrupt. So if you would be so kind, I'd love to have you on my own project Conversations, and maybe we could sit down for a couple hours.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Further in that brain.
Yeah. Count me in, brother. Count me in.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
And just to piggyback what you just said real briefly, it's like, you know, one of the reasons why we, many other people, many other big podcasts like Rogan, Trigonometry, you name it, those kind of like anti-woke podcasts, the Free Press with all their stuff. Part of the reason why we've been so successful, I think, and winning this battle is because we have the truth on our side, man, for the most part. Man. You know, we're not right about everything, I'm sure, but we have the truth on our side for the most part. The truth is a powerful ally.
Yeah. There's a quote in my industry: "It's easy to be a lawyer when the facts are on your side."
Exactly. That's right.
Exactly.
Right.
And
all right, gents.
And the other thing too is like we don't pretend. We don't pretend we don't pretend to know everything.
Yeah.
If there's something that we don't know, we're going to go out and seek it, and that's a difference. That is a big difference here. And I hope that for everyone here, I hope that you can see that. I hope that you can that you could feel that and know where we're coming from.
Yeah, so, that's one of the drastic differences between the sides. Is if you think about the whole disinformation complex, their whole notion has been we are the sole possessors of truth. They're the bad guys who lie to you. As much as I constantly push back on like, guys, don't believe their lies. Look at what I'm telling you. I always qualify my own stuff with don't inherently believe me. I'm not the truth keeper. You know what I mean? Just make sure you read this too. So I agree with you, Isaiah. That's a critical point.
Thank you. All right. That is our show for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to support us, you want to support Apostate Radio, please buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Apostate Radio. I want to thank Theo Jordan for joining us tonight. My dude, Nostra Chavez. Okay, over here. Sorry, my camera. I want to thank you for.
And thanks to Evan Barker too.
And thank you to Evan Barker. I love you. You guys,
great to meet you.
you all have
Thanks
been
to all the digital fam who showed up in the notifications watching tonight.
Hell
Solo
yeah.
and Eric,
Hell-
and it was great seeing all y'all
Thanks,
on there.
yeah,
This is
the
a cool
comments,
format. Talking to
all
you
the
guys. Blue
viewers.
Sky Libs was on there. Very cool. It's a digital fam, man. I love it.
Next week, we will be back. And we're going to, and next week we're going to do a big Black History Month themed show. We're going to have a lot of Black folk who have left the Democratic Party and are moving to bigger and better things politically and socially. So from all of us here at Apostate Radio, peace, and may God bless each and every one of you. Good night.
Fellas.
Thanks, everybody.
Al zurdo de mierda no le podés dar ni un milímetro.
Pero ¿me podés definir zurdo de mierda? Que no
Todos
lo
los que,
entiendo?
digamos, los colectivistas, los que ponen, digamos, o sea, esa idea... A ver,
¿Por qué le pones de mierda, digamos?
Porque son una mierda. O sea,
vos mezclás...
si, no,
pero
es que si pensás,
pero
si pensás distinto te van a aniquilar. Ese es el punto. Es decir, vos al zurdo no le podés dar un milímetro, porque le das un milímetro y lo toma para destrozarte. Es decir, digamos, o sea, vos no podés negociar con el zurdo. No se negocia. No se negocia con esa mierda, no se negocia porque te van a llevar puesto. Si tienen un golpeador que cae...